Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another movie discussion with myself, Joe Mayo, and I'm here right now with Tim Allen.
Hello.
Perhaps we will get other people to join us. It's my fault because I usually send a link to these guys early on in the day, and I totally forgot, and I didn't send it until a half hour before showtime. So Tim got it, luckily. So we'll see. We'll see if Tom gets it. Let's see. What do we have here? Hey, look who it is. It's Ramoga. He's the first guy here. So let's give him a salute. Can't believe you're still like that, Ramoga. That's still getting so played out, man. Even I'm not really. It's still fun. Come on, lighten up. Hello, Douglas. Man, it's Ollie. Ollie, what's going on, Ollie? Hello, Mike. And hello, James Farley. Okay, guys. So, what's going on? What's on everybody's so-called minds today, huh? What did you watch? That's a line from the movie Stakeout from 1987 with Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez. When they go in there, they're cops that goofed up, and they go in to face the sergeant or whoever it is, and he's got them in the hot seat. He's behind the desk, and he's pretty unhappy with them, and he goes, "Now, what's on your so-called mind?" That always stuck in my head. Oh, Penny Lane, what's going on? Yeah, I know you. Well, you never. The day you get sick of that Godzilla dance will be the day I know the world is coming to an end. For sure. Okay, well, I just put up. This is filling time here. While we wait, hopefully Tom can make it, and 4D Man maybe. I put up a video just a little while ago. And of course it was another collection of DVD movies. And after I put it up, I realized there's a few missing from there that I just got like yesterday or something. And I don't know where the hell they are. There's a couple of some bags around here, and I was looking. I didn't show. I missed some. You know what I mean? So there's more to come. And I keep talking about the Snapper case, which I want to talk about. Hopefully we'll get Tom as well, because Tom despises the Snapper case, as I always did as well, until now. So we got 4D nice and early here. I'm going to get him with a sip of tonic.
Cheers.
Hello, 4D. Welcome. That was John Wayne, Robert Mitchum, El Dorado. Always like to see what the poster is of the day.
There's a story behind that, but I'll tell you later on.
Okay. Wow, you guys are still alive. I did not get Waterloo Bridge, but of course I got Ace in the Hole. Now the question is, when am I going to watch it? If I can watch it, at least you have proof that I have it. The only thing is I was telling you, what a coincidence, but the disc is very cloudy at the bottom. And I don't know what that's about. And I did everything. I kind of gently, wiped it in the right fashion, away from the hole and all this. And I'm like, I just hope it plays. I don't know what the deal is with that one. Hey, Snappers. Yeah, I like that. What's going on? Let me talk a little bit about the Snappers. I'm trying to pad this out a little bit because, get more audience here. But, back in 1997, when I was an early adopter to DVD. I felt like I knew it was going to work. I was going to take over at the time. I knew it because, to me, I never had a Laserdisc player. And I tell no offense, because I know you love Laserdisc.
Oh, no, I didn't back then either.
But, for me, though, I thought, well, they're so big and they were really expensive at the time, and you got to flip them between the movie unless you have an automatic flipper machine. And I just thought something better. Then they had the 5-inch disc that was coming out, and I said, it's going to be like a CD for music. That what the CD did for music, this will do for films. So I said, this has to work, And the first ones that I have, and I'm upset that I don't have my very first DVD I ever owned, and that was The Exorcist on DVD, the first copy. Now it's been out. It was out again after that, the version you've never seen, or the extra version. That's not the first one. But suddenly I've decided that I want to collect them. It's just like, and they're only $1, $2, they're not very expensive because I'll show you this one here. Okay. This is The Haunting, right? Robert Wise film. Now, I've never seen the whole thing, but I've seen enough of it to know it's rather talky in my estimation. Although, again, every time I say something's talky, for me to say that says a lot because I like old films. I like when you get to spend time building it up and the characters and so I don't usually have a problem. I like so-called talky films. But anyway, I have to give it a proper first view. Now I put this on just to see the quality because that's the next thing. I'm so into high definition now that some of these that I picked up on DVD for only a couple of bucks. What are they going to look like? I put it on. It's not what I'm used to. My eyes are used to high definition, and this one says the release of this disc. I know 1997 was the day that came out. The format. I bought a few discs. One of them the first one was The Exorcist, and a few other movies like Snapper Cases. I think there were 50 titles at first. Only 50 titles. But this one here says 2003. So this is not one of the first 1997 ones. But you had this. I've never known these to fail. You do that little snap.
I have a couple that have failed, but mostly they don't.
And these, to me anyway, always seem to stay there on the hub. I've never had as much problem with falling off a hub.
Yeah.
As and I got to say, lately I like the big artwork. It's a little bigger, I think, than the Amaray cases, maybe, and certainly bigger than Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I might just start doing this. I don't have it one handy here, but you'll see when I make a special video. I'm going to make a special video where I talk about snappers and show my snappers collection. But I found these clear, thin boxes that were made for these that you could slide them in there, and they keep them preserved, clean. But, having said that, my point is every time I see these, unless people really ate on them or something like that, or played Frisbee with them, they're always pretty clean. They don't get that damage.
Yeah.
I don't know because, right? You notice that, Tim?
Yeah, because of that little lip on the front, I think.
Because of this, right? It keeps them from rubbing together, I guess, this lip.
Yeah. And
anyway, that's what my heart is.
I also like the design. I like the disc on the bottom of the case. I think that's a good design. Why they moved it to the middle, I don't know. I think on the bottom is smart.
The bottom of the case? What do you say?
Yeah. You open it up, the disc is not in the middle like they are today. It's lower. That's a smarter design.
It stays on here most of the time.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They're the easiest to get off of any of them. It's so easy to get off. You ever see the ones on the Amaray cases? And of course, hey, here's Ace in the Hole. Let's use that as our example. Okay, and it does have the newspaper there.
Great stuff.
But these, like when they double it up like that, I always hate that.
Yeah.
And you have to really press this and lift a little more.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the ones? I don't think I have one handy here to show. The ones that say lift up. There's some of these, they don't just come right off the hub. There's like a sign there that says lift up. You have to kind of press the hole in the center and then pull it up at the same time, and you were snapping the disc in half. So
the reason I like those always like those clipper cases is because of the absence of plastic. It's a card cover,
right?
And I have the same antipathy to plastic that Norman Mailer used to have. Norman Mailer used to rage against plastic.
Oh.
He felt there was a whole ideology behind plastic, which is to do with inauthenticity. And he used to say things like, if you touch plastic, it gives you nothing back. It's so desensitizing, just like the culture is becoming desensitizing. And that would trigger him off into a 2,000-word diatribe. But I agreed with him. And that's why I don't like DVD cases. And it's also why I don't like CD cases, even though I buy CDs when there's no alternative. That plastic cover is so alienating to me.
Well, I disagree on that when it comes to the CD. You know, I love the CDs, jewel cases, but it's interesting that I'm starting to like these, but I still don't like the CD cardboards covers.
Right. Okay.
I can't figure it. Who can figure it? You know.
I do that. I think Sony invented it. The one cardboard one, the disc slips in the bottom just a little bit, and it's got a little hub. Doesn't even have a hub. It just stays there. It's an amazing case. It's slim. CD's never gonna fall out of there. I think they're perfect. But they're not used very much. But they're great.
Okay, we got some hellos there, and you're better off asking other people if they've seen these movies, especially if Tom's up here, because I haven't seen Gettysburg. A lot of things I haven't seen, newer stuff. I haven't
seen it either.
And when I say newer stuff, I mean from like the 80s onward. All right, everybody's saying hello. Hello, George.
Oh, I'll tell you what came last week. I must have played this soundtrack 10 times since it came last week. I love it. It's beautiful. You can
blow it up. There it is. Isn't that nice?
Now, if you look on the back,
yeah,
I don't know whether you'd be able to read the.
It's not very clear, but the LP, it has the LP, the original with the dialogue on it.
Yeah. Now, the LP is the only way you can get this on vinyl, and I used to have that in the 1970s, the LP.
Right.
But it turns out that the LP isn't even the original soundtrack. It was arranged by Leonard Rosenman, who composed it, but it was a smaller orchestra that he had than he had for the actual film.
Right.
But we didn't have access to the actual film, and if you look on the LP soundtrack, which now goes for a lot of money, there's about 4, maybe 5 music tracks on it, and all the rest is dialogue in between the tracks.
You have the Mass of the Holy Bomb and stuff like that on there.
Yeah, but look how many titles. If you look above,
yes, on the top.
Look how many titles, the music tracks there are that we never got to hear before, and also with the expanded orchestra that they used for the original film. So I've been processing this, and it's so rich. This score is so rich, and the booklet that comes with it really helps you through the tracks and the comparison between the LP that I used to have and this CD, and shows you what the differences are. But the atonal soundtrack is so beautiful and so rich. Mm-hmm. And because Leonard Rosenman, just like he did with the James Dean score, Rebel Without a Cause, and just like he did with Fantastic Voyage, he loves dissonance. So he's describing an upside down world, and not just where the apes are the superior species, but also when you go into the sort of molten underground and you see New York City, it's so fucking whoa. Mm-hmm. So and you get that musical description from Leonard Rosenman's score. And this guy, the guy who wrote the booklet, says that he thinks it's better than Goldsmith's score for the first film, which I don't agree with.
Oh no, I don't agree.
But it is a fantastic score. It's pretty much convinced me to buy Battle for the Planet of the Apes because it was the same composer.
Yeah, it's good. It also has some TV series stuff on. I think Battle has some TV series stuff too, but not a lot. Maybe just the theme song, maybe actually.
I'll just show you this one other CD that came. This only came today, and I've already played it 3 times. It won't be familiar to you, but this the story behind Chinatown, Roman Polanski's film, is that this fellow was commissioned to write the score, and he did so. And when it went on a test preview, the audience didn't like the film. And the story is that this guy was the fall guy. I'm not sure whether I believe that or not. But this booklet, which is a beautiful booklet that explains it with lovely sort of watercolored paintings inside of the film. This sort of explains the backstory of why this score was not used, And it's a famous story because Jerry Goldsmith was called up by Roman Polanski, and he had 10 days to view the film, write the score, spot it so that it fitted in the right places, and record it. All of that in 10 days. And he came up with, bear with me, with this magnificent soundtrack, which I've had since I've had this since I was about 16 years old. And it's a beautiful score, and astonishing that he came up with this in 10 days. But it turns out now, for the first time ever, we can actually listen to the score that was spotted by this composer, and it turns out this is really good. It's not, I don't think it's as good as Goldsmith's, but my word, it's good, and has some similarities with Goldsmith's as well. So, and I'm aware that for most of the people watching, unless you're heavily into soundtracks or else heavily into that film Chinatown, probably people aren't going to be rushing out and buying this. But it feels to me a real privilege to finally get to hear this score that was ditched, apparently not by Roman Polanski, but by the producer who was calling the shots. So that's why they got Goldsmith in. But it's a really good score. There you go.
Thank you for sharing. As always, thank you for your expertise on this stuff. I have a few snappers, not many. I think talking about the old DVDs, I think your eyes will get used to it quickly. Well, I don't want to get too used to it. Like I've said, I've said this before. I have some DVDs that look perfectly fine, to me, too. But there's also not just a matter of the DVD quality itself, but the transfer or lack of restoration on some of these.
Yeah.
I may see one, off the top of my head, I don't know, like you have, let's just take this one for example, Little Foxes, Betty Davis, right? This may look fine, but I'm sure this has had a remaster on Blu-ray by now. So this is going to be mostly to watch these. Most of these I have not seen before. Like I've seen The Letter before, Betty Davis, The Letter, and I've seen some Jezebel and some other ones. Most of what I'm buying I haven't seen yet. So like I said, to me it'd be like a rental. It'd be like renting an old Blockbuster disc or tape. But the ones that maybe one and done. Some of them might be one and done, finished. And then other ones may be, I think I'll want to keep this in my library. And if that's the case, if maybe I won't want to upgrade it, it'll be good enough on a DVD in my library. Or if there's something really special, I want to get the Blu-ray on this. Kimber says, I tossed my Before Sunrise snapper case and Frankenstein the trilogy into one case. I need better hobbies. Well, whatever makes you happy. Is Danny coming on? Well, Danny, I talked to Danny. You know what movie he watched yesterday? He said, The Way We Were. Who knew that Danny was such a romantic? I actually watched about a half hour of it myself. I was eating lunch and I had it on. It doesn't count when you turn it on in the middle and you watch a half an hour. Okay, now Jeff, hello, says, I'm looking at my dad. There's an apostrophe, and it says, I'm looking for snappers right now. There you go. And 4D Man, love your El Dorado movie poster. Do you have the soundtrack album?
Yeah, I do have Nelson Riddle's album, and before this show came on, I did look for it, but I can't find the damn thing. But yes, I have it. And it is a good soundtrack.
Okay, Tower of London or The Invisible Agent. I'll go with Tower of London by far for that one. I saw The Invisible Agent only once, the Universal movie, and I didn't love that. I like The Invisible Woman better, Universal, which has Shemp Howard in it, I think, isn't it? I think Shemp Howard is in that, I think. But anyway, Invisible Woman by Universal is more like a comedy of that, so. All right, let's start. Because I just did a video, like I said, and I already showed a lot of things I bought. I won't show them here again. I've got another huge bag of just snapper cases, DVD snapper case titles, which rather than show them here and take up the entire show, I'll probably just make a video tribute to snappers or something like that, you know? So instead, I'll go with what I've watched myself this week. Now, the people say, you know, you got all these movies, you better start watching them. And you're right. If I can't get 1 or 2 on a week, I don't know what. But I did watch one, and I really thoroughly enjoyed this one. This is a first-time view for me. It is, let me see, I'll make it large here. It's of Human Bondage. It's the Betty Davis film, or Leslie Howard. I talked about this a bit, but I watched it, and you know, I don't think I talked about it last time. I talked about having it and some details, but I don't think I talked about having watched it. I don't know. Well, anyway, I'll talk about it now. I really thought Betty Davis was terrific in this. You know, she plays British, she plays English waitress. And I think Leslie Howard did not appreciate it at first. I think he warmed to her and the performance later on, from what I've been researching. Of course, this is from a I can't say it, a Somerset Mom's book of Human Bondage. This was, I didn't really realize, a hard to get film for a while, a lost film. Somebody said Betty Davis had a copy herself, is where it comes from. I don't know. Now it's in Library of Congress. It's a 35 millimeter print, I think it's taken from, but there's no negatives of it anymore. So the quality is a little rough in spots. Doesn't matter. I don't care when you know that it's almost impossible. We're lucky to have anything on it. It's like, this is all that exists. Then I accept not looking pristine. But supposedly no women at the time in like 1934 wanted to play a role like this, because that's why Betty Davis took off. I mean, she plays a real bitchy character at times in here, to say the least. That she's really the kind of woman I'd never allow myself to get involved with. I don't know, when there's a guy in here like Leslie Howard, and he's so smitten and he's willing to get stepped on and made a monkey out of. I don't understand women. You know, they make monkeys out of some men, and they allow themselves, because they're so, in love with them. Just, if that's the way you feel, just to have some fun with her, and that's it. I mean, not for nothing. If they're going to abuse you, don't try to, marry her and settle down with her and all this. But I really think I like Betty Davis in the 30s. We see this, I think, 3 shows in a row. I like Betty Davis in the 1930s. She got old and haggard really very quickly, although I always thought she was a good actress. And she's really good in here. She's also up to the task, because she's willing to be vulgar, and not at the end of the movie being kind of unattractive and letting herself go. And that's the character. And no women, from what I understand at the time, would dare take a part like that. So she kind of did that. She kind of took roles that challenged her, and most women wouldn't do. And she's got a kind of a dark side to her in this movie, and I really enjoyed it. And that's the best thing I could say about Of Human Bondage. Let me see if I can get any comments here. Not yet. Okay. So I showed the new one, the one that I watched the first time, so I could talk about things I've seen already a million times now. But I got together with my friend Anthony, and we wanted to watch a 1950s type monster romp. So this is one I've seen a number of times in my life, including on New York's Creature Features television show. And it's a good title, The Monster That Challenged the World. And with really outrageous titles like that, shows why I love these horror and science fiction monster pictures so much. Basically, that creature you see, I think it's a mollusk. It's in the ocean and it's killing people in the ocean. Has very much Jaws vibes to it, before Jaws, This is 1957. So you wonder how much influenced people like Peter Benchley, who wrote Jaws and things, and other films, and even The Creature from the Black Lagoon, terror under the water. So there's a little Jaws vibe to it. And the creature also winds up not only killing people in the ocean, but also eventually comes on land. And Yeah. There's a lot. I always got to say there's a lot of talking in here, but that's a '50s film, and I was fine with it in here. And they have Hans Conried in here, who I really like him and other things, but usually I see him in comedy. I remember him from I Love Lucy, the television show. He plays somebody that's a speech therapist, and he's trying to teach them all proper diction on I Love Lucy, including Ricky Ricardo, trying him to speak English and stuff like that. And he's a kind of a comedian, but he plays a serious part in here as a doctor, who knows about this creature and all this kind of stuff. So it was a fun movie.
And that's a Blu-ray. Right. That's a Blu-ray, Joe. What's the picture quality like?
Oh, very good, excellent. Blu-ray, excellent quality on it. Yeah. Let's see. I'm not going to count Silkwood. Last night I had Silkwood on. Love Meryl Streep. I don't know what to say about her. She's just a great actress. And but I had it on in the background, and I was on my phone. I was not really paying close attention. It doesn't count, but I had that in the background. Now I want to talk about one movie that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I think this is one of the greatest movies of all time. I know, too bad Tom's not here because I know he doesn't agree on this one. Some people don't. That's Rosemary's Baby, Roman Polanski, right? I've seen it many times. I know it by heart. I've seen it in the theater a couple of times in a revival. And I feel the big screen, its proper way, is the best, and seeing it uncut. Well, the television shows Svengoolie, or should I say House of Svengoolie, tried playing this movie, and I watched it because I always like to see how it plays on TV, and they talk about the making of the movie and stuff, and it brings me back to the horror host days, right? So Rosemary's Baby, they put it on there. The movie Rosemary's Baby is 2 hours and 17 minutes, okay? And Rosemary's Baby is in a 3-hour time slot. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes with commercials, a lot of commercials, every 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes went by. Commercials galore. And those idiots, and I mean idiots, who host House of Svengoolie. I like Svengoolie himself. I don't like those idiots on there. I don't know what they are. Nostalgia Ferratu and some other guy. And Gwen Gooley is sexy as hell, so I'm all right with Gwen Gooley. But they're on there doing their bumper crap and doing comedy that's not funny, and then long commercials. So my point is, a 2 hour and 3 hour, what did I say it was? 2 hour and 17. I'm sorry, 2 hour and 17 minutes film cut to ribbons. I don't know how much of it actually was on there. Was there even an hour and a half's worth of it out of 2 hours and 17 minutes? It was cut so badly. The beginning, when it says Rosemary's Baby, like it starts, and there's the title, it says Rosemary's Baby, and then it cuts to them walking into the building, and there's like no Roman Polanski, directed by Roman Polanski. There's nothing. That, and it was the worst thing. It was choppy like that. You see this scene, then somebody else is talking, then somebody else is. It's like it's another scene entirely.
That's terrible.
You wouldn't even know that they're leaving important parts out. One of them, for example, might be like, for anybody who's known the movie, when Maurice Evans, who plays the one who knows all about this devil kind of cult stuff, he says, somebody says he lost a glove in the movie. And there's a scene in there supposed to be where his glove, a personal belonging of his, is swiped because they want to, the devil worshippers want one of his personal belongings to cast a spell on him. And there's a scene in there when John Cassavetes just comes home from work just for no reason, but the reason he's there is because he's in on it, and he's got to go in and steal his glove. They take that all out, and then like later on, Rosemary says to Maurice Evans, her friend, says, "Did you ever find your glove?" And he says, "No, I never did." And if you didn't see the movie before, what glove? And what are you talking about? Well, you didn't see when he lost it, and the other guy is to take it. I mean, stuff like that. So horrible presentation.
Polanski would be furious about that. The measure of how furious he would be about all those commercials robbing the film is that Polanski objected to chapter stops in DVDs because he said you shouldn't be able to duck out like that. The movie should go all the way through without any chapter stops on the DVD. That's how purist he was.
Oh yeah, well, I agree. I mean, you know, some people are not that really serious about movies, you know, unfortunately. And I kept, because you can see on Facebook there's a Svengoolie page or something, and they're trying to groom these other people now to take over from Svengoolie. They call it House of Svengoolie, and it's his Three Stooges that he's got on there, and trying to put more modern movies. And by modern, you know, Rosemary's Baby compared to Frankenstein and Dracula, and that's they're trying to get more 70s, 60s, 70s. They even put Friday the 13th on there from 1980. They put on there one, so they're trying to make it for new generations. But I feel sorry for anybody who like hasn't seen the movie and that was their first experience. And a lot of them were saying that on the Facebook page. It's like I couldn't follow it and it wasn't that great. Well, you know, seeing it at a disadvantage.
Terrible.
Why physical media is so important.
Oh, absolutely, it is
because they can and they have started doing this to movies just in streaming services and stuff. And
yeah, and of course, you know, they cut stuff out. You know, obviously, the French Connection cut out some stuff that was on.
That's not the only one, but yeah.
I've never seen the Boston Strangler, but Frenzy, to me, I like Frenzy, but it's a weaker Hitchcock for me. What do you think?
I like the family plot. I didn't like it for a long time, and now I like it better than Frenzy. I think it's one of his better later movies.
The Boston Strangler was experimental because it had multiple panels sometimes where you could see simultaneous action going on in different rooms and things like that. And it came out the same time as the Thomas Crown Affair that did it as well. So there's always a little bit of a debate about which director did it first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Woodstock did it the year after, the Woodstock feature film.
I don't remember. I saw Jezebel and liked it once, but I don't remember the end of it. I have to see it again, and I will. Come on. This Transparent one is really, you know, comparing Boston Strangler with the Monolith Monsters. Yeah, you know, the only thing about this Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, I've still never seen it, but I know that it was supposed to team them up again together. Or Joan Crawford, and she'd stepped out of it, and they got, was it Olivia de Havilland?
Yeah.
But my problem with that movie is nobody had the guts to tell Betty Davis that she couldn't sing, and she spent her whole life singing. And nobody had the guts to say, Betty, you can't sing. I mean,
she made an album. I saw a
she made several albums.
Because I watched I forget what show she was on. She was on some show. Was it Johnny Carson? Maybe. And he had an album, and they were talking about the album. Of course, and you know that song that she did, that record, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. There's a song of that too that she did, you know, and it's, you know, it's a funny song, really. Hello, KRWD. I think my first Betty Davis movie as a kid was Watch Her in the Woods. That's a much later one.
Nice poster for that.
It's interesting that Transparent Man says Rosemary's Baby or House of Dracula. You know how dear to my heart those Universal films are. I would take Rosemary's Baby way over House of Dracula, though, I gotta say.
Ooh.
Yeah, the sequel to Rosemary is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. You must check out my video on it. I did a video, Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby. It's a made-for-television film in the 70s, I believe, and it's got Patty Duke is supposed to be in the Mia Farrow part. But she's only on in the beginning, and it's a terrible, terrible movie. They try bringing back Ruth Gordon, but there's no story. It's a terrible script. It's terrible, missed opportunity. And they really could have done a sequel, but in a way, it's kind of scary enough, the ending as it is. You know that the Antichrist is born in 1966 is when it takes place. That's if I have a pet peeve, it might be that. I mean, one of the pet peeves of an otherwise perfect movie, Rosemary's Baby. You know, the movie came out in 68. The story takes place in 66. That's not a big deal. But I think the book was placed in 66, I guess. So that's why. You could have made it 68 or 69 or something. And it could have been like the future in a way, you know. But anyway, then there's a prequel. there's been a prequel that I won't dare watch. I don't want to see it because I heard mixed things about it, and that's in recent years, in the 2000s.
The soundtrack to Rosemary's Baby was by a Polish guy called Krzysztof Komeda, who had a separate career as a jazz composer, so he was quite famous for that. And Roman Polanski stuck with him even before he left Poland, before he went anywhere else. So Komeda had gone with him right through to Dance of the Vampires in Britain, all the way through to Rosemary's Baby, and then he died when he was 38. I think that might have been Rosemary's Baby, might have been his last score. And it was on the set of Rosemary's Baby that guy whose rejected score I just showed you for Chinatown, that's where they first met. But Komeda was he was a great talent.
Well, it's a good soundtrack. I like it. Some creepy moments in it. But that prequel thing, I mean, I forget what it's called. It has the address. The address. The title of the film is the address of the apartment. Somebody will know. We can look it up. It's the name of the number of the apartment is the name of the movie, and it's supposed to be a prequel, which is about the woman in the movie. I think she's played by Victoria Vetri. The young woman who like loses her life. Let's put in Rosemary's Baby. Let's put it that way.
Did they film that in the Dakota building as well?
I don't know how much of it was inside. I don't know if it was in the Dakota building, even though I mean some of the hallways look like they might have been in there. I don't know how much of it's inside. The outside certainly, but the thing is, she plays this woman. She has a small part. She's the one that's going to be their first victim before they then she dies. And then Rosemary becomes the one they focus on, obviously, to have the baby. But this prequel is before that, when they were kind of grooming this other woman, her story. And what kills me about it is, the woman in Rosemary's Baby, this other woman, she's obviously 1960s woman. She's all decked out. She looks like a 60s child. And you got somebody in the 2020s, some young girl playing this. They look nothing like. She looks like she's somebody, a Generation Z person or, a millennial or something that they're trying to make look like how could she be the same character from 1966? It can't be the same character. They look nothing alike and act nothing alike. It's just terrible. Then they got another woman playing Ruth Gordon, because Ruth Gordon obviously is not here anymore, but the prequel. It's I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. If I could ever get a hold of it easily enough, I might try it just to see. And Hans Conried, I never know how to say these names. Conried Reed was also Fracture Fairy Tales. When I saw Rosemary's Baby, there was tension in wondering if the husband was in on it. The DVD description spoils that. Yeah, well, pretty early on that he's in on it. I mean, at the beginning he's not, but then he becomes enamored with the old couple, and they start dazzling him right away with enticements to try to get him to give up the baby. It's really, I think it's such a great movie, and to me, it's disturbing and effective without showing that much. It's the way. It's a great director. And the way he does it,
I can remember lots of extreme wide angle shots of sort of distorted rooms and faces at that time. Yeah,
there's his dream sequences that are really effective. There's a few dream sequences, and here it is, Apartment 7A. I like Apartment 7A, prequel to Rosemary's Baby. Well, I haven't seen it. I can't judge it. I said all that stuff. I said again, the prequel, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But I just don't like. I've seen a few clips of it. They have clips up somewhere, and I saw it, and I'm just like, that girl. I think also when she loses her life in the movie, you don't know how it happened. And you don't know if she unalived herself or if, it was something else. I think the former. But, that's a line from the movie. My brother-in-law actually was in Dubrovnik. It's very beautiful. Yeah, I could go through the whole movie. It's so great. There's a scene in there. I forget what the guy's name is, the old man that's married to Ruth Gordon. And he says he acts like he's in Dubrovnik or something, but he's not really there. He says he's going there just to ease Rosemary's mind because she starts getting suspicious of him. And he says, I'm going to Dubrovnik. He acts like he's going on a trip, and he gets in a taxi. Meanwhile, he's not going anywhere. He's still there, bringing up the baby and all this stuff. And there's a great line when she goes, "Shut up!" When she comes in at the end, "Shut up! You're in Dubrovnik. I don't hear you. You're supposed to be in Dubrovnik."
Is it worth telling an anecdote about Rosemary's Baby?
I would think.
All right, there's a scene where a woman takes a phone call. I can't remember whether it's Mia Farrow, and she's in the bedroom, but we're not in the bedroom. The camera is in the adjoining room, and the door is open, and the camera is looking head on toward the open door, but the woman is sat on the bed.
Yeah.
So I think you can see she's got her legs crossed, and I think you can see one leg from the knee down.
Yeah, I think it's Ruth Gordon in that scene that you're talking about. She's on the phone,
right? But you can't see you can't see her facial reactions or anything,
right?
And in the room that the camera is in, nobody's in that room, so there's kind of nothing to see. So the cameraman moves the camera to a diagonal line so that it's now looking past the doorway, so at least you can see the woman who sat on the bed taking the phone call. You can get some visual information out of the scene. Polanski comes on set and he says, no, why did you move it? Why would you do that? Why did you put it back? So the cameraman is saying, you do realize, don't you, that the way it was placed head on, you weren't seeing anything. You weren't seeing the face. You weren't seeing, there was no information that you were getting. You weren't even seeing the telephone, just the telephone wire going across the doorway. And Polanski goes, yeah, that's what I want. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So he's the boss, isn't he? So
yes.
the cameraman has to move it back where it was, looking head on, and they shoot the scene, and it goes out that way. And come the premiere, the cinematographer is there. He takes his wife to the premiere, and they're sat at the back. And when that scene comes up, he sees about 500 heads go. Like, trying to look past the door jam, and then it finally clicked what Polanski was getting up to. That what you don't see sort of lures you in. So you get one half of the telephone conversation, which is the woman sat on the bed. You don't hear the other half. So like you're trying harder. So he kind of reels you in that way. So one of the reasons people often use that as an argument for what an auteur director is, which is that the cinematographer undoubtedly must know more about lighting and focal lengths than Polanski does. But the overarching idea of the whole scene, comes from the director. So they often use examples like that to describe what an auteur does.
Oh yeah, and I think I can't say auteur's theory that they say. I do believe in it for some directors, but not all. I don't know.
Right. And the canny auteur directors tend to recruit the same crew. So part of being an auteur turns out to be all the technicians he keeps going. Like Polanski had that same composer until he died. Like Hitchcock had Bernard Herrmann until they fell out. And they often choose the same editor. Like Woody Allen had the same editor for ages. Susan Morse, I think she was, and Spielberg had the same editor for ages too. So even the auteurs are dependent on this cabal of people that they carry from one film to the next.
But there's so many things too, though, in general, with all that kind of setup and the way the director wants it. If you're a good director. A lot of people will watch Rosemary's Baby, especially a lot of younger people today. Sorry, not all of you. I realize I don't like to paint everybody the same. And we'll say, oh, that's boring. Some people were saying it. I saw a boring movie. And the thing is, it's the shots and stuff like that. That's why I'm giving Frenzy another chance, because I said that was dull. I saw it one time, not under the right conditions, and I want to see it the right way and really get a feel. It's not just always like how much action's happening, how much is going. It's also the looks and the expressions and the way the camera's set up and what you see and don't see, and the whole thing.
Yeah.
right? So I recently watched Frenzy. There you go. Was it June of '66? Oh, you mean 666? The baby's not born in June, is it? Well, maybe it is. I don't know now that I think
I
of it.
don't
It
know.
might be born in. I think it's the summertime. All of them witches. Oh, it's such a good movie. Yeah, I know all these little things from the movie. I don't think I've ever seen Experiment in Terror, but I know
No.
Wait Until Dark very well.
Got a good
Yeah, and
soundtrack. CD. I know
Experiment in Terror.
that. Yeah.
Well, Wait Until Dark. That's the Audrey Hepburn movie, right? Wait Until Dark. I think the whole thing with that is I tell
Yes.
this story whenever this movie comes up. You know, I was a little kid at the time, and we went to this resort called Villa Roma. It was we go there every summer, and I'm gonna guess it was around 1969 or 70, something like that. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and they would have movies. But this particular night, I remember they had, they didn't have video like DVDs or Laserdisc or streaming. So you had the reels. They'd have the 16 millimeter reels, and they played Wait Until Dark. And I remember where they were playing it, in this little room, and it was a big deal. We're going to see a movie, and for a kid, it was kind of intense. I remember being kind of like creeped out at the end. I think it was Alan Arkin, is it? I think is in there at the end, and he's like, I remember he's like injured at the end, and he's the bad guy, and he's crawling and crawling, trying to get a hold of the blind woman played by Audrey Hepburn, and his hands are full of blood and everything. And I remember we went home, and then my mother, who saw the movie, was like trying to tell my grandfather about the movie. And she starts describing it and tells him like the ending, and then you get him going after her. And me, the child, I go, and there was blood all over his hands. And I remember my mother going, oh yeah, and there was to appease me. And there was blood on his hands. Like, like kids like pick up on stuff like that, Now I watched that movie, I'm like, it's not so creepy. It's kind of silly in places. It's not so, but at the time I thought that would, you appreciate so much more sometimes when you were a kid,
Sure.
but other times you appreciate things more if you're an adult. Depends on what it is, I find. Yeah, Wait Until Dark is great. Let's see.
Colors was what I appreciated at the cinema as a child because we had a black and white television all through the 1960s.
The other girl was given that smelly, moldy necklace. Yeah, and Rosemary's Baby. And then after she dies, they give it to Rosemary, Dr. Saperstein and Ralph Bellamy. It's great to see. I love Ralph Bellamy from the old movies that I love. And to see him as Dr. Saperstein, who's Rosemary's doctor, going to deliver the baby, and he's in on it, It's pretty cool. Yep. Tell Tim to shut up. Yeah, exactly. See? Shut up, Tim. Can't get a word in edgewise, even if he wants, right, Tim?
Nope.
There you go.
That's the one. Yeah, Thelma. I couldn't remember her name.
Hello, gentlemen. Who came in?
I wonder if John. You remember John Marino said he still had some posters saved in the basement. John, did you find out whether you did have the poster too? What was the poster? Fistful of Dollars. Did you?
Yeah. Anytime you want to come up too, John, just let me know.
Yeah, it'd be great to see that if you managed to keep hold of it.
Henry Mancini.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
I guess 2001, even though I'm disappointed by the ending, 2001, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's hard to imagine. I had like a 13-inch television that was in black and white, you know. I mean, that's not all we had, but we had a black and white television along with a regular TV. But even then, we'd watch everything. It'd be a 19-inch screen or 20-inch screen, or maybe 27 later on. And it was like, oh, you didn't know anything else. It was fine. But now I'm like,
if you had a 28-inch, that was considered big back in the day. If you had a 28-inch,
yeah, 26 or 27 was the maximum that they could do for physical reasons. And I just watched a short on this, like an old short. And Magnavox in the like the mid 80s came out with a 35-inch television, and that blew everybody away. That was the biggest television ever made, and everybody was like.
And you know, if that was a cathode ray tube, Tim, that must have been very heavy.
It was, and then they got up to 42, I think, is the biggest cathode ray ever made.
I mean, I don't know what there's some people in the family, they have it on the wall. I don't know what the new flat screen. I don't know if it's 75-inch, 100 inch. It's pretty huge, man. And but see, that's one of the things I love about today. You know, one of the few things I love about today is technology like that. I mean,
sure.
I say often, when I was a kid, we were all loving these things. Imagine if we had this ability.
Wow. Yeah.
To say, I'm going to watch all 5 Planet of the Apes films today.
I'd rather watch things on a smaller screen, and then when you got something special to watch it on the big screen. It just makes it that if you watch everything on that size screen, to me it diminishes the special stuff that you really want to watch. You know, that's just me, but that's what I feel about it.
It might be just you. It might be.
There you go.
Oh, I put the wrong one up there. I meant to put this one up there.
Yeah.
Hello, Beetle Eddie. Oh, let me tell you, man. I had a 32-inch Sony Trinitron. If I tell you the stories with that, it's a funny story, really, and I'll tell it because kill a little time here. I had a Sony Trinitron; those things lasted a lot of years. Then eventually, I got another flat. I got a flat screen, my first flat screen, and this was in another apartment. Anyway, it was on a stand. I remember when we put that Sony Trinitron on the stand. It took 3 of us to do it. We all had to grab it, and I'd say on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. We lifted it up. We got it on the stand, and it stayed there for years. Finally, now I'm ready to get this out. Now, what am I going to do with it? I heard that you can't just throw a television out. Somebody's got to take it. So whatever it was, we moved it to the bedroom. Well, how are you going to move it to the bedroom? This is years later. It took 3 people to lift it, to place it on the stand, right? So, you know what we did? We went to a place where they had those, I don't know what they call them, but they're like these plastic things that you put underneath, like if you want to move a cabinet under, and like so you could push it and it goes on the rug, like it'll move. So my wife and I at the time, you know, we put it 4 of these in each corner, these little plastic things, and I'm getting on my back, like as if I'm giving birth, to give you a funny image. I'm on my floor, I got my legs pushing the stand. I'm going, like this, and she's guiding it. Okay, go ahead, because you had the rug, and I'm going push again, like when you're giving birth. And I go, I'm pushing it, and she's like, "Come on, down the hall." And she's like, I mean, to slide this whole stand, couldn't take the TV off the stand, impossible, you know. And we slid it and put it in bed, and we stayed in there for a number of years too. That's the story there. John, I have you in the background, but it says device is not connected, so there's some kind of technical problem. I watched Doc Docus on an 85-inch screen. That's scary. Oh, there you go, John. I see you there. I'll bring you up. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I watch myself. Sometimes now I'm watching some of these things on 55. Well, not this one because I'm in the corner a little. But when I watch myself on a regular video on a 55-inch screen, I'm like, oh. I
don't watch YouTube on a big screen. Well, 37. My monitor sitting right in front of me is 37 inches, but that's what I watch. Yeah. It's just my old TV. My monitor died, and I had this old TV that was dying. And 10 years later, it still hasn't died. It just takes a long time to warm up. It's flat screen, but it's all funky until it warms up.
But I love the Sony Trinitron when I got it, 36 inch.
Yeah.
And one last thing before I bring John up, you know, I remember watching an episode again of I Love Lucy. Sometimes dialogue stays in my head. And there's an episode where Lucy and Ricky buy Fred and Ethel a television set, and then there's a fight and all of this. And I remember she's telling the judge, "We bought them a 20-inch television set." Lucy said, "She goes 20-inch," you know, as if like it's so big, you know. In 1950s.
It was. Televisions were this big when they started. I mean,
we got John. John, you ready? Give me the thumbs up. Are we good? All right, I think he's ready. Here we go. Hello, John. Thank you for joining the show.
Hey, guys.
Hey, there he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Up, a little frozen, but maybe that'll clear up. You're frozen. Now. In the meantime, now you're moving again. You're good now.
Yep.
So, you know what? I'm sure you guys can relate to this. I spent the last 2 hours trying to organize CDs.
Oh yeah.
And, oh my God. I had stacks. And anyway, I bought these little cubes to put some CDs in. So it's like at least more than 50% better now. It's not 100%, but it's a project, you know, and takes time, energy. So I was doing that.
Lots of fun. I know stuff like that used to be fun to me. Not so much anymore.
well, you know what? Yeah, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And it was a little more work today to do it. In the past, it's been fun. You go to IKEA, you buy the shelf, you assemble it, and you put the DVDs or CDs on the shelf, and that's your Saturday evening, you know, and you enjoy it. But maybe because I'm older now, it's more work. I don't know.
Could very well be. Hi, Eric. Eric says, we went to see the Michael movie yesterday afternoon. And what did you think of that movie? By the way, Eric, every time I see you, I think Laurel and Hardy. I've been watching more Laurel and Hardy shorts. I put the Chimp on the other night. I didn't like some of these I've seen, but some of them I don't remember. The Chimp was not one of my favorites. I'll be honest with
you. Yeah, in a tutu, I think at some point.
Yeah, it wasn't one of my favorites.
Yeah, if they play too, so it's a thing that some people do in comedy where they play cute. And if they play too cute, it just becomes, I don't know, kind of saccharine.
You're going to need a bigger screen. That sounds like a Jaws line. But I'm going to need, first of all, the thing with me is it depends how big your room is too. You know, I think the room that we're in, 55 inches, perfect for it. You know, any bigger than that, it would be too big for where we're sitting. So you need a big room to have like 100-inch screen or something.
I did start to get bigger photos to get signed back in the 1990s. Oh. Can you name that film? I bet Tim can name it.
I don't even know what this is.
I get them mixed up. It's one of the, because John Wayne made the same film 3 times. It's one of those.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the signature.
Rio Lobo.
No,
yeah, it's either Rio Lobo, El Dorado, or whatever the other one is.
You're close with Rio Lobo. You're very close. In fact, Joe bought the DVD. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay,
there you go. You can just about see the signature there, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I got to tell you, Dean Martin, I like his singing, but I haven't seen enough. But for some reason, every time I see him in some other part, I'm like, well, he doesn't fit. Like that Matt Helm stuff. Like I saw a couple of scenes of that on TV one day. I don't buy him in that. I just can't buy him. I don't know why.
The Matt Helm films. They're funny. They're just James Bond spoofs. They're funny.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess if they're supposed to be a little funny, that's fine. But
yeah, they're very funny. They're comedies. They're not.
Yeah, if they're comedies, then I could deal with it because I don't believe he could actually do the things he does. Back
in 1992, BBC had a celebration of 100 years of cinema or something like that, and so for that year, they'd bring somebody into the studio and they had 5 minutes to talk about their favorite film, and they had to pick a particular scene, their favorite scene in their favorite film, and they would play little bits of the clip of the scene, and the guy, whoever the celebrity was, would talk over it and say why he liked it so much. And John Carpenter came in, and he picked Rio Bravo, and he picked the scene where Dean Martin just threw away his badge and he was going to get drunk again. and then they play the Diguelo theme from across the saloon that's supposed to haunt all the guys in the sheriff's office, and he pours the whiskey back in the bottle and doesn't spill anything. And John Carpenter was saying that was Dean Martin's greatest performance in any film.
Mm-hmm. And even him as an airport or something like that, I have a hard time with for some reason.
Yeah, and as a side issue, because you mentioned Assault on Precinct 13 a little bit earlier, Joe. Carpenter said that one of his inspirations for that, where they're holed up inside the police station, was Rio Bravo, because they're holed up inside the sheriff's office for over 2 hours.
As he said, the blind man. Sony made excellent TV and computer monitors. Yeah, that was always I always went with Sony then. Yeah.
Can I mention something about that?
Sure.
Speaking of in the 70s, Sony's made some great tube TVs. They're called Sony Trinitron.
Right, I had one. Yeah, I loved
those. My dad bought one, then he bought another one after, and they were great. They were like a tank, well made.
I was telling the story. Yeah.
Yeah. The picture quality was awesome. And then these computer monitors that KRWD mentioned, in 1983, I bought the Sony Profil. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these. They were component televisions. It would be a separate monitor, separate tuner, and separate speakers. Component television. And I splurged. I bought a 25-inch Sony Profil, and I bought I forgot what Hitachi, or I forgot which VCR I bought. $1,000 for a VCR back in the day, 1983. Ooh. Yeah, and I still have it in storage. But those two, that VCR and that TV, were awesome. And that Sony Profil, they used to build these TVs to broadcast standards. So you could leave it on 24/7. It worked fine. And I had that TV for almost 30 years, I think. But it was a heavy, tube TV. Yeah. I needed help getting out of the house when I finally.
Yeah, that's what I was. If you go back, I don't know if you heard, I was telling a pretty funny story about me trying to move a damn Sony Trinitron one. And I got to say though, I love. Everybody has what they like best. I love Samsung flat screens, smart TVs. The problem is, most of the ones I've had lasted 4 years or so.
Wow, really?
Maybe 5.
And then they packed up.
I had a lot of. We watch it a lot, but I mean, I forget what they call it. Like this was a clicking. I don't want to. Here I am again talking about it. This is going to happen because this one we've had a while and one we have now. But anyway,
I've had my Samsung 3D TV since I think 2012.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But they were all doing that. But yet, I don't know why. I remember bringing home a Sony one. And this is just for me. I remember bringing home a Sony flat screen. And I was used to all the Samsungs. And I was like, nah, although I always loved Sony products, I didn't really like the flat screen as much. So I went back and got a Samsung. People are telling me that Vizio was very good, even though it's cheap.
That's what this monitor is. It's been sitting in front that I've had probably close to 20 years. It's not a monitor, it's a TV. It's got great sound, and it still works. Like I said, you got to warm it up now, but it still works fine.
I recently bought a new Samsung back in November, and it's a Samsung OLED 55-inch, and I'm very happy with it. It looks great, works fine. Yeah. My older Samsung finally went out after, 8 years, 10 years. I almost bought the Sony Bravia. Almost bought that, but I got Samsung instead. I wanted to mention, too, that remember with the older TVs, at least with the Profil, they used to sell some really nice remote controls. You'd get a nice remote control with the TV, and it was just like almost elegant or real high-tech looking, and they had a nice stand. They just look sharp. Yeah. You have it on there right next to you or on the table right there, and it had beautiful buttons, and it just looked nice, like a classic old car, And
now you get a little thing like that.
And now you get this little stick, and it's like, what is this,
Yeah, now you know what, John? I still use the old ones. Somehow the old ones still work. Yeah. And on at least a couple of the old remotes, the back snapped off. The thing where the batteries go in, but like the battery case
Yeah.
cover. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
in there, bare batteries in there, but
Yeah,
it, you know,
yeah,
sticking out.
yeah.
But I still use it, and I would be dead without that. With those, I'd be dead without them. There's
Yeah,
so many things I have to do. I change the aspect ratio sometimes
Yeah.
because if you don't have, what do they call that, anamorphic, where it goes right to the, some of the discs, they go right to the actual size automatically that you need.
right.
Some of them you got to set. We watch Frasier, the show, TV show Frasier,
Yeah.
and it's in 4x3. So every time I put Frasier on it, because it's an old DVD set, it's not newer DVD, I got to like set manually, take this remote and change it to a square to make it
Yeah.
into a box. Otherwise, it's going to be stretched,
Right.
you know, and all that kind of thing. But most newer discs that they made later, they will anamorphically adjust.
Once TVs were 4x3, so why would they make discs that weren't, you know?
Well,
so
they made them, that's when they did letterbox.
You know what? I've got a collection.
And then when letterbox became TV,
I've got a collection of remote controls. They're in my storage room, and I've kept some of them because I also bought another one that was separate. You could buy it standalone, and it had a beautiful screen on it. You know, it was a Sony remote control, and it had a display. It would light up, you know, when it was dark in the room, you know, and you could do whatever you wanted. It was a touch screen, and it was so awesome, you know. But I wish they would recreate some of these remote controls that had a look to it, you know, not these little pieces of junk, you know.
Oh, they're junk. I can't even read them. I don't know what the buttons are. They're so tiny. I can't read them.
America was way ahead of Britain by at least 2, maybe 3 years, maybe more, of releasing DVDs in the proper aspect ratio. So every time I wanted to see a British film like The Ipcress File, which is famous for what it does with a widescreen composition, I'd have to send off to Anchor Bay in the USA to get the proper aspect ratio, because over here, all we had is a 4.3 for years.
Yeah. And I was one of those people way back in the day.
You guys went widescreen before we did, so that's funny to me. You guys went.
We did. Wow.
Widescreen became your standard a few years before it did in America.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I mean, I'm ashamed to say now that I didn't get what nor appreciate, and I hated the so-called black bars. At first, you know, I didn't like letterbox stuff. I was one of those people that didn't get it, thought they were chopping off stuff. But then, you know, then of course I grew to understand it and appreciate it. You know, the thing about this quote here, the chimp, Billy Gilbert's a lot of fun in most things, but he yells a lot of times. But you know, it's not one. It wasn't one of my favorite Billy Gilberts either, to be honest with you. There we go, Dean Martin.
I think my favorite Laurel and Hardy was Me and My Pal.
Yeah, we just watched that with the puzzle.
Yeah,
that was funny. You know, anyway, the scenario is that Hardy's getting married, and Stan's going to be, I think he's his best man, and they're supposed to get a taxi and leave the house, but Stan gave Ollie a puzzle, a giant jigsaw puzzle with like 1,000 pieces or something. And every time they're trying to get out of the house, Stan wants to play with the puzzle and try to put it together. And then everybody that comes in, the taxi driver, you know, I don't know who else it was, the father of the bride comes in looking for them. What's taking you so long? And he gets mesmerized by the puzzle, and they're all trying to do this giant puzzle.
And the cop who comes in to give somebody a ticket gets so involved, he says, "Nobody leaves here until we find the missing piece."
Yeah, they missed the piece of the puzzle. Yeah. I think that the Michael movie was very well made. It only goes up to 88 before the allegations, which I think was a good idea. So it focuses on him developing his talent, breaking ties, and going solo and getting huge. And I think that was a good story right there, the way they did it. I don't know what the future is going to bring, if they're going to do another one. They said they might do another one, but if you do, it's all going to have to be that stuff, you know. So and wasn't the drinking problem exaggerated on camera? Like he wasn't always that drunk all the time?
Yeah, very much so. But he did drink, and he
But I think he's right about after his son died. I think he had a lot of issues depression after that, after his son died.
Yeah, Jerry
Yeah.
Lewis said after his son died, because they reunited and became friends in the end, Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. And Jerry Lewis said after he died, he said that Dean Martin did become an alcoholic after his son died.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
How about remember Foster Brooks, the comedian?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I was
Did he
watching
have a drinking problem or what?
No, I don't think so. Right? Was he acting? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I thought
he was acting.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was acting.
A little bit of him went a long way. You know, watching those celebrity roasts with Dean Martin,
Yeah.
and he was on.
And he was good. He was good.
Even though I think it's the best Western ever made, I find it interesting to find flaws in films that I love a lot. For some reason I can't explain, it makes me appreciate the film better. And the flaw in Rio Bravo is that you've got so many strong characters, well-defined characters for the goodies, and on the baddies, there's no really defined baddie. And that's partly because of the script, but also because of the casting. If they could have just got Lee Marvin in as the main Burdette guy, just his presence would have helped balance it a little bit. But the problem with that film is that the adversaries really don't pack any punch in terms of drama because of the casting. That's the main flaw in that film. But the other guys, they're just so delightful. The dynamics between them is so beautifully scripted and acted.
How do you like Walter Brennan? Is it Walter Brennan?
Oh yeah, he's just so What a great and you know, if you watch John Wayne in some of the scenes they've got together, you can see Wayne enjoying the performance of Walter Brennan. You can see it on his face; he's really liking it. And Dean Martin as well. You know the right at the end scene where John Wayne and Angie Dickinson are embracing, and he's just managed to talk her out of being a saloon girl. So he throws her tights, a pair of tights, out the window. And it just so happens that Walter Brennan and Dean Martin are on patrol walking down the street, and these pair of tights come right in front of Walter Brennan. So he wraps it around his neck like a neckerchief. And he says to Dean Martin, "Shay, you think I'll ever get to be sheriff?" And Dean Martin says, "Not unless you mind your own business." And that's the end of it. And you can see in that little couplet between the two, Dean Martin's really enjoying Walter Brennan's performance as they sort of go off down the street. Beautiful.
Well, what is the symbolism of that being thrown out the window? You know,
tights being thrown out the window. Well, I don't know about the Freudian symbolism, but in terms of the drama, it's that John Wayne doesn't want her being a saloon girl. He wants her all to himself. So he's very proprietary, and he doesn't like the idea of her being a showgirl. So that's the dramatic reason for why he did it. But what the Freudian reason might be, who knows?
I got to see some of that Angie Dickinson.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah,
I got to see that.
And what is the name of the little Mexican actor that's
the one who plays Carlos? Yeah.
What's his real name? Do you know?
I no, it's not coming to me. I don't know. That really cuts it fine, you know, between a caricature. It's like a Speedy Gonzales kind of caricature to me. But on the other hand, he does come to the rescue toward the end of the film. So it kind of balances a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, Kimba says she's watching on a Vizio. I hope it's like a 13-inch screen or something smaller. So, yep. Months away from it. Oh.
Right.
Panasonic flat screen TV for 20 years. It didn't look as good as our regular widescreen downstairs, but we kept it a long time. There you go. Here's a question for you.
Oh yeah. The John Barry soundtrack. Yes. Although it's quite expensive because we didn't get it. It's a UK film. John Barry, UK composer, and we didn't get it in this country, so I had to send off to the USA for that. So it's quite expensive to buy in the UK. But yeah, it's a great score.
We advertised the TV with a button on it so that you could make your remote beep if you couldn't find it. Yeah. Well, especially at that little size. I mean, that's another thing. They try to make things smaller and smaller, and you're gonna lose stuff like that. If it's the smaller it is. Screen Gents. I like. Hey, I like the name of that. It's a good title for the Screen Gents. I like that.
Oh, John, did you find a fistful of dollars in your basement?
No, you know what? I was in my storage room a few weeks ago, and it's a pain in the ass to get in there. It's just jam packed with stuff. I
Right.
got records and audio equipment and furniture, all this stuff. I dug through a few posters, and I got some pictures here if you want to see them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this Wild Bunch. I don't know if that works. That doesn't.
Oh
look
yeah,
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So I got the Wild Bunch poster. I don't know. I've never seen this. It's a Mexican movie. Look, yeah, it doesn't look that good on the screen.
You have to wait a little bit. If you wait a little bit, it'll come in clearer. Or Ben, I don't know that movie.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
a Mexican production. La Muerte de Che Guevara, the death of Che Guevara.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't look that good. Let's see. Harper, I got Harper.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's 1966. Yeah, you got to look after these posters, John, because they're worth a bit.
Yeah, they're safe. They're flat. But again, it's just I have too much. I can't. The Wild Rebels. I don't know.
Do you put them in manila envelopes or anything like that?
No, they're flat, and I have like cardboard underneath and on top.
Okay.
So they stay. That's hard to see. That doesn't come across.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's the right angle and you wait long enough, it might come in. But you have to get the right
when
angle.
dinosaurs rule the earth.
Oh, I know that one.
Well, that's a Hammer film. So Hammer films are automatically quite expensive. So that's worth holding on to.
Yeah, a lot of the ones I want the most are the most expensive ones. And I wouldn't want that one, but in
Oh,
general,
I got another James Bond. It's a double bill. Let's see.
let's see,
That's-
Thunderball.
Thunderball.
The
It
other
doesn't
one,
look
just the
like it.
bottom one.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. To bring them out is a hassle. You got to handle them carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You go outside. If there's a breeze, they start blowing around and stuff.
Right.
Cuckoo's Nest. This is post
Whoa.
Oscar.
Yeah. 76.
Post Oscar poster.
the best picture, right?
Yeah. Again, it doesn't look good. It's Last Tango in Paris.
That's about 73, isn't it? 1973. So these are quite old posters.
Yeah. The Godfather, got a Godfather, original Godfather.
Wow.
Yeah. But you can see it has lines on it. Papillon, got a Papillon.
73. Yeah. It's a good poster as well, that.
Yeah. Ten Commandments.
Whoa. Is that a re-release though? Is it a re-release?
You know what? I can't tell if it's original. I think it's original, as far as I can tell.
That's
Oh,
1956.
Silent Adventure.
Which one is that one? Poseidon. Oh, okay,
Oh,
72.
Poseidon,
Yeah.
Right. One of the earliest disaster movies.
Doesn't. Here's a Robert Duvall Badge 30 something, or I don't know, Badge some. Again, it's hard to see.
But that's early 70s as well.
Yeah. Most of these are 70s, and I got a few more, but those are the pictures I got. But that's when you have a lot of stuff like most of us do. Records, CDs, posters, DVDs. It can get out of hand.
Right.
Yeah, and now it's getting even more out of hand with me with the snapper cases that I'm into. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, Joe, you scored on some great movies, though. I mean, I was like, oh my god,
Oh yeah,
I would have bought most of them.
yeah. Now I got
At
to just
least
watch the damn things.
Yeah.
That would
You
be
got the
nice.
Black Legion, right? You bought the Black Legion,
Yes.
the Bogart. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good movie. Yeah. And did you finally see a Double
Cheers,
Indemnity?
Not yet. No, but I have it, but that everybody's going to be after me. Oh, see Double Indemnity. Would you see this one? Did you see that? Did you see Patton yet? I bought Patton because I like George C. Scott. That's the only reason I bought it. Those kind of movies I'm just not interested in war stuff. But
Great score for Patton by Jerry Goldsmith. One of his most famous scores.
Like I haven't seen, but I like George C. Scott. So, but I haven't seen like Midway. I like Charlton Heston, and he's in Midway, and I haven't watched Midway ever.
You haven't seen number one.
Number one, I think I saw some of it. He's the football player in it.
That's right. Yeah.
But I got a Blu-ray of that, and I sent away for The Private War of Major Benson with Heston. That's got Julia Adams in it, who was in The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I think it's right after that in some color. And I was saying it's a comedy. Heston didn't do comedy very often,
No.
and it's a comedy, and it's an original version of what was later remade as Major Payne.
I got this one hanging here.
Pat Garrett and
Yeah,
Billy
let
Kid.
me
Another
try to
good
pull
one.
this
Yeah,
up a little bit. Hold on a minute. Yeah, there
another
it
early
is. Oh yeah.
70s. Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
original.
Yeah, see, it's nice. See,
beautiful.
that's what ideally we want to do. You want to frame them all, put them
Yeah.
around, but who's got that much space even,
Exactly. Yeah. It's yeah. And I have a small house, so there's not room for a lot of that stuff. And then to top it off, I'm buying original rock posters too, and I want to frame those and put them up. But
Yeah, no, it's hard, man. I know. I got so much stuff, and it's like, especially if I'm doing movies and Beatles, I mean, that's why I hope one day I get into a place before I'm 85 where I could actually have a Beatles room, like, and a movie room.
I'm glad you mentioned that, DJT Forever, because I did look and I've actually got the thing. Can you believe it? I've got it on DVD, not Blu-ray, and it's even in this room where I am, just behind me. And I'd completely blanked on the whole thing. So yes, I found out that I've possessed it for 5 or 6 years. So I'm going to have to watch it again just to find out how much Venice location there is in it. But that's my memory going down the river, forgetting what I've got now.
Don't worry, Tim. I haven't forgotten about showing your movies you watch. It's in the back of my mind at all times. Back in the Rat Pack years, late 50s, early 60s, Dean Martin would be the only one of them who didn't drink with them on stage. Frank, Sammy, etc. would all be drinking. And Angie Dickinson is the most famous person from North Dakota.
Oh,
did you ever see that "This Is Your Life" thing with her when she didn't want to do it? That's a clip that's on YouTube. In the later years, they sabotaged her to do "This Is Your Life," and she was very angry about it. And she said, and she kept saying, "No, I won't do it. I won't do it." And it was, and I think because I'm just guessing, didn't she have some nude stuff in her file, like in the early days or something like that? I thought I read later that was the deal, that maybe she was worried about them bringing up any of her like more sordid stuff.
Well, I know she always declined questions about her alleged affair with John F. Kennedy.
Oh, it could be any of that stuff. And yeah, it's really like it's all raw footage. Like it's not, it's all her like battling with them and saying no way, and she's very uncomfortable, and they keep begging her and trying to talk her into it.
So she didn't do it then?
I guess they never aired it. I guess they never did. She's there in the studio, but I don't know if they, she didn't want to do it. She didn't know it was going to be that. That's because a lot of people weren't happy about it. They said Stan Laurel wasn't happy about it and "This Is Your Life," and Boris Karloff wasn't thrilled with it either, even though he'd always be a professional. I guess Stan Laurel was too.
Yeah, I mean, you are kind of railroaded into it, aren't you, in that show?
Yeah, a lot of time. Yeah. Took my wife to see Devil Wears Prada 2, strictly a chick flick. No surprise. I'd only see that because Meryl Streep is in it. I mean, that's a kind of movie like I wouldn't go, but because she's in it, I'd see it. There's movies like that. Like there's some movies she did where like I'm like something like The French Lieutenant's Woman. Like I couldn't see myself being interested in a story like that or romance. I don't. But because she's in it, yeah. And then there's other things. I mean, what's other ones with her? House of, what is it with all the women in it? I don't know. And there was this movie Plenty I went to see in the movie theater because she was in it. I was like bored out of my wits.
Yeah, I saw that when it came out.
But then some. I want to get some water.
Oh, but then sometimes there's movies with her like yeah, I'll go to see something like The River Wild, where she's whether it's a canoe or kayaking or whatever she does, and she's in that. And it's kind of like a modern Deliverance in a way with her, I guess. And she gets involved with, I forget, criminals. And I think one of them's played by Kevin Bacon, one of the criminals. And they kind of like try to get her to take them down the river and all this kind of stuff, get away or something. So that's a little bit more my speed, something like that. But yeah, I bought some westerns too, the Snapper cases and stuff. Yeah. Screens are going to be obsolete soon. Everyone will be watching in headsets. I hope not.
Oh God.
Yes, James, I did. I $2. Why not? Give it a mature rewatch. Now that I know what to expect. Omar Sharif.
I think there's more than one Che Guevara movie, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Some posters were subliminal. I was told The Little Mermaid had issues. Nothing is off limits. All right,
No,
let's
I
catch up.
didn't. That's just an urban myth.
Yeah. Tora. See, that's the kind of thing I don't think I'd ever be interested in unless I love the lead actor or something. It is very good. Plan on watching Midway sometime. Yeah, we're gonna do that now. Let's see Tim's movies. I just want to kind of catch up.
Tora is interesting because it's Midway, but the Japanese perspective, which makes it interesting.
I think Angie Dickinson was so hot. Like I've said this before, that I'd watch Policewoman if I could get it cheap on, at least the first season and watch it just for. There you go. Just a few thoughts here before we get to Tim. I'm going to catch up here. Yeah. That wasn't her. That was not her. And everybody thinks it's her because it looks something like her. Oh no! Wait a minute. But she was in 65. She went to the 65 one. But that footage that you see is not her. But I know everybody thinks it's her. It looks something like her. But I think she came and talked about that. She was at 65 though. All right. I'd rather live in a headset than live where I live. It's getting that bad. I've heard things like that.
Wow.
No, anyway. All right. What do you got? Okay. Okay. So, Tim, now dazzle us with your films that you watched this past week.
I don't think I'll be dazzling anybody, but I watched 2 Hong Kong films that I've never seen before because I love Hong Kong films.
Oh, you watched 2 Hong Kong films?
And if a lot of people, yeah.
Right.
I'm
just kidding.
But,
Depends what
because some of them are just pure cinema. It's not even the plot or what's going on. It's just they're just beautiful to watch, and I mean the cinematography and the soundtrack, and just they're like nothing we've ever made in America. And one was called Green Snake, and it stars the gorgeous Maggie Cheung. And it's 2 snakes that are supernatural, and their sister has 1,000 years of training to figure out how to become disguised as a human, and Maggie only has 500 years, so she's not nearly as good at it as her sister. But it's just interesting, stunning. It's not, you don't watch it for the plot, you watch it just to go, wow, this is amazing. How did they do that? Wow. Everything is practical in these movies. They weren't using digital stuff, it's all practical, and it's just gorgeous. And I love that. And Swordsman 2, which you don't need to see.
I don't know about that. Anyway,
you don't need to see Swordsman 1. Swordsman 2 is this movie is like a dream. It's just one thing into another. You don't even have to follow the plot if you don't want to. And this has Bridget Lynn in it, who I just adore as well. I can't believe I've never seen this before. I'm like, why haven't I seen Swordsman 2 before? It's one of the Hong Kong must-watch films. Well, those are the ones you'd probably be interested in. So now the rest.
Well, those are the ones. Those are the ones that I would be interested in.
I watched 2 Marilyn Monroe films.
Well, that sounds like what I'd be interested in.
Well, no, one's, I think it's her first starring film. It's called Ladies of the Chorus. And she's a chorus girl that winds up being the feature attraction and meets this guy. And he's a nice guy and wants to marry him, but her mother won't, and tells the guy the story of what happened to her. And, same thing will happen to my daughter, and I don't want that to happen. And it's just a nice little movie, and Marilyn everybody's good in it. And, her mother is as gorgeous as she is, which is pretty amazing. I mean, And then I watched a movie called Dangerous Years, which I believe is Marilyn's screen debut. She plays a waitress in a place like Arnold's,
What
from
year is
Happy
it?
Days. This is like 51 or 50 or so.
I
This is early.
think our first movie's Love Happy with
Okay.
Mark's.
Well, I mean,
maybe.
but she's barely in this movie. She doesn't star in it
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah, she's not in Love Happy either, really.
What year's Love
She's
Happy?
just a waitress. But and this is just your typical juvenile delinquent movie. But of course, at the end, the juvenile delinquent relents, and he takes what's coming to him rather than hurt other people, which no juvenile delinquent ever did that in their lives. But that's what he does. So it was an okay movie, but it was cool to see Marilyn that early. Then I watched a Barbara Stanwyck film because Joe needs to learn about Barbara Stanwyck called Lady of Burlesque.
I just wish she was better looking. That's all.
Which I think she's gorgeous. And she actually, not only in Lady of Burlesque, she sings, she dances, and all this stuff. Most people have no idea that Barbara Stanwyck could sing and dance, but she does it very well. And she's sexy as hell, and that's the whole thing. It's a movie about burlesque. I watched 2 burlesque movies actually, and I didn't mean to, but anyway, decent movie. With early, 33, 34, I think, just before the code hit.
Tim, do you remember the Elliot Gould Raymond Chandler movie from '73, where he plays Philip Marlowe? I can't remember I can't remember the film title.
I watched that last couple of years. I can't remember the film either.
Okay,
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought it was
right.
Okay.
But you remember there's a guy. I think he's a security guard or somebody, and he's obviously an impressionist because he actually does a brilliant impression of Barbara Stanwyck. Can you remember that from the film?
No, I don't. But
it's uncanny because it's like a transgender impersonation of Barbara Stanwyck, and he gets the enunciation perfect. The shape of his mouth becomes suddenly different, like Barbara Stanwyck. Just an amazing impersonation of Barbara Stanwyck.
She is amazing. I mean,
Well,
I think her lisp helps a lot. She has a slight lisp, and that helps a lot, I think. It makes her special. Anyway, the last film I watched, Joe might actually be interested. I watched He Who Gets Slapped.
Chaney.
Yes. Lon Chaney, just before Sound. 28, I think.
And I can't remember if I liked it or not. I think I did.
It's a good film. He's a professor, and he's found all these new theories, and he has his benefactor, and the benefactor steals his theories and his wife and humiliates him in front of all these people, these professors at this lecture that he's given. He just steals it, and he feels and the guy slapped him in front of all these professors, his benefactor, so that he becomes a clown called He Who Gets Slapped. And
that's almost like the backstory of every Batman villain, isn't it? Some nice guy gets humiliated that way and comes back as some twisted villain. Except your guy comes back.
Well, no, but he's the good guy. He's the good guy in this, and winds up winning in the end. And in Batman, he becomes a Joker. Yeah. He stays a good guy.
Right.
And that's it. I watched 6 films.
Very nice. Well, yeah, interesting. Actually, by the way, do you see these movies? Kim was talking about. She watched some Stanwyck, East Side, West Side, and My Reputation. Do you know those movies?
No, I don't. Stanwyck made so many movies.
She did, didn't she? Yeah.
And don't forget Roustabout.
She made well over 100 movies.
Wow.
So, cheers, Tim, which Laserdisc player do you have? Which are you using?
It's a Pioneer. I don't know the model. I got it for free. I think it belonged to a school. It's huge. It's one of these big industrial things. I don't think it'll ever die. It probably weighs 40 pounds.
And it plays both sides, right? It plays both sides.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It barely is stereo. It won't even.
So
a lot of discs that have commentary tracks. I have a few discs that will just play the soundtrack and the commentary at the same time. It won't even separate them. Mine's from the 70s. I guarantee it's from the 70s. Hang on, I'll show you guys something.
I don't think I've ever seen Elliot Gould in anything I really liked him do. I don't know why. I mean,
I think I remember that movie. I don't know if I ever saw that, The Long Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some Elliot Gould movies.
He played a gumshoe, right? Was that a gumshoe type of character?
Yes, it's playing Philip Marlowe, the Raymond Chandler private detective. It's got a great bluesy theme song to it.
Okay.
This is the remote to my Laserdisc player.
Yeah.
This is my hand.
yeah.
This is it turned sideways.
Wow.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah.
You won't misplace that.
You're not gonna lose it though. This thing is probably going on 60 years old, and nobody's
and it's
lost
easy to use. I like the big buttons. It's big, it's easy.
It still works actually fine. But you can't even turn it on or off with the remote.
Right.
It doesn't even have an on and off.
Hey Tim, I've got 2 Pioneer players in my garage, and they need to be serviced. It's not working. So I don't know if I'm going to just get rid of them because I don't know if I'll fix them. I'm not sure I'll ever watch. I have laser discs right here in the room, but I don't know. Again, too much stuff. I got plenty of DVDs,
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Somebody gave me a Laserdisc player. I didn't have any Laserdiscs. A friend gave it to me. I had to carry it home on the Metro, which was, oh my God, rush hour. And then I got a half an hour walk to my house after I get off the train. I'm carrying this thing the whole way.
Right.
But I bought it because Laserdiscs at the time were dirt cheap. And there was a few places I lived in DC then that had them, and they were cheap. And you could get Hong Kong movies on Laserdisc. You couldn't get Hong Kong movies even on videotapes. You couldn't get them on anything. They were unavailable, but you could find them on Laserdisc. And I'm a Hong Kong movie guy. So I started collecting Hong Kong Laserdiscs to play on my Laserdisc player, and that's what got me into it.
I have some titles right here. Let me grab them.
Meanwhile, as far as whether I like Michael or the Elvis movie more, if you're talking about the Elvis, meaning the one with Austin Butler in it, the Baz Luhrmann one, well, he did. I don't know which one you mean, but I like Michael more than the Elvis biopic, way more than the Elvis biopic. If you're asking me about Elvis Epic, I still like Michael more than Elvis Epic, but Elvis Epic, the Epic movie, that's a concert movie. It's a totally different thing. Okay.
I got to get back to this poster before we quit.
Yeah, make sure you don't forget. I got to time it because we're getting close. Well,
close to your dinner time, Joe.
Yeah, but who knows when it's going to be ready. She's off today, so that helps. I didn't, I could do it anytime I want here, but I did 5 o'clock anyway. What do you got, John?
Oh, I got some Laserdisc here. There's a double.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
They do look good that size, don't they?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
And let's see. Remember this Clockers?
I don't know that.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
I remember when it came out. I never saw it.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a movie that needs to be, at least in the United States. I don't know the story in England, but that needs to be remastered and fixed up. It's
right.
The DVD's not very good.
Yeah, we've got it on Blu-ray.
Comedy, Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, yeah. Dickory Dock.
Yeah. I got his record too. I got his LP. And Star Wars.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's the way to watch Star Wars. I don't care what anybody says.
Woody Allen.
Oh yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Good
So,
movies.
and I got a few more. I don't know what else. Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, beautiful. That's Elite, right? Elite Video. It's one of the early ones.
I'm not sure if it's. Yes, it is. You're right. It is.
Yeah, that's an early one. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see what else. Okay, Romeo is bleeding. Sorry for the glare.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another one I think you'll like. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh yeah, that's underrated. I'm glad you like
there
it.
you go.
Oh, I love this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the makeup
Yeah.
too. You know, Henry
Yeah.
Hull didn't want a lot of makeup on his face, so they understated the makeup. It had something,
Yeah.
so his face showed through.
Yeah. Warner Olin is
I
great
mean,
in
you
that.
could put those
yeah.
on the shelf and display them.
Well,
They
you
look
know,
so good.
you know what's the interesting story behind Laserdisc? They came out just when CDs came out, or CDs came out first, then Laserdisc. So because they stopped making records, it affected these companies that made record covers, you know, the cover art, the 12 by 12 inch
Right.
covers. So they weren't making many record LP covers, but Laserdisc came out, so they began to make covers for Laserdisc, same size. So it kind of
Right.
saved these companies. They had work.
Yeah,
So,
and it probably rescued a few artists as well, John, you know, who used to illustrating LP covers.
yeah. But you're right. I could frame some of these, put them on the wall.
Yeah, I buy.
Yeah.
As you know, I buy some laser, even though I never had a laserdisc player. Some of them are so cool looking, just for the artwork.
Right. And Amoeba still sells some. They sell some for like $1, and some up to $15 if they're kind of rare.
Yeah.
So I don't buy them anymore, but I'm not watching them.
There's
But I got a lot
some
more. I
Laserdisc.
got a whole lot more.
We'll bring a little at a time, if you want to show them.
Yeah.
I've got hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might buy one if the illustration's good on the cover, even though I've got no Laserdisc player.
But do you have the wall space?
That's a really good question. The answer is no, because I've got loads of like you. I've got loads of posters folded up and nowhere to put them. But I don't think that would stop me if there was a really good cover for a Laserdisc. I think I'd probably buy it.
Well, because we're collectors, if you see something you like, whether it's a record or a CD or DVD, you're gonna buy it.
Yeah,
I gotta have it, whether I need it or not. I want it, right?
Well, that's still. I'm trying to get better at that, but now it's gone to movies instead of the records.
Well, at those prices, come on.
Yeah, the prices are cheap though. Really,
I see Eric as a Raymond Chandler fan to know that much detail about The Long Goodbye.
I've read most of Raymond's books. Raymond.
The Elvis,
that's my genre.
I thought the Elvis biopic was okay. It was pretty good at the time. I think I overrated it when I first saw it. Now I'm thinking back to it. I don't appreciate it as much, but it's decent. I think. Louis Newton-John.
Yeah. Can I mention something? Yeah. I saw again for the fifth time. So they showed a Stranger on Turner Classics Saturday night.
What was it? You kind of cutting out a little. What was it?
They showed Strangers on a Train on Noir Alley Saturday night. And I didn't realize this, and I guess maybe I'm a little dumb, but the character Bruno, the guy is a gay character. He's gay. I never realized that until they mentioned it. I said, "Oh, really? He's gay. Okay, he is." But the irony
he couldn't come out and say it.
Right. But I mean, if you just paid attention, he's gay. But the irony is, in real life, he's straight. Farley Granger's a gay guy playing the straight guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, really? Okay. Still a great movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So Henry wants to know where Tim stands on Michael Jackson's music.
Yeah, I've answered that enough. I think. I don't like him. I never have. And
well, him or his music.
Jackson.
Oh, Jackson.
I don't like either. I don't like pop. I don't like the 80s. It's not my. I don't like it.
6:00 p.m. I could start at 6 p.m. if you want me. A lot of times to stop by 6:45. A lot of times I have to pick my girlfriend up and I have to leave about 6:45. That's why a lot of times I do it 5 o'clock. You know, I only did 5 o'clock tonight because it was the usual. I'm sorry.
The reason I'm available is because my wife is working overtime. Normally she gets home and we eat together and talk. So it makes it hard to, be part of the show.
See,
But
well,
she's working right now, so it freed me up.
well, that's the thing. The time I'd really like to do this show, I've said this before, but I Tuesday nights, Eastern time, 7 to 9 Eastern is when I would do, because I have to go, like tomorrow. I have to go to my girlfriend's got the second job. I have to go there and entertain myself. Well, she's busy. I got to stay there for 2.5 hours trying to entertain myself. So, but the reason I don't do it is because Tom wasn't able to make it tonight. He's always working Tuesday night, so he'd never be here ever if I did it at Tuesday nights. That's but I'm always looking for something to do. When Rachel was doing her thing on Tuesdays, I would watch Rachel on Tuesday, but she stopped. Gilbert, I'll tell you one thing. Gilbert Gottfried, at times he really cracked me up. When he cracked me up a lot? On the Roseanne Barr roast, celebrity roast. You have to see it. I'm not going to. It wasn't very flattering, but it was funny, I thought. John, you don't have a video disc player, you say, right?
I have 2 players that don't work.
Don't work.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's another project. So.
Yeah, I liked Song Sung Blue, but it's not a Neil Diamond biopic. It's not about Neil Diamond. It's about a Neil Diamond impersonator and his wife. They were a team, and it's their story, not Neil Diamond's story. I thought that was good. I thought the Bob Dylan one, I keep getting that wrong. Is it A Complete Unknown? I like that very much. John's Raging Bull poster signed by Jake LaMotta is fire.
Thank you. I've had it for 25 years now. It was given to me as a gift.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that Coleman Domingo was very good in the movie as Joe Jackson, Joseph Jackson. He really villainous and despicable in the movie, which is as his dad. A4D recently picked Kiltman up, the thing from another world, on Laserdisc for his upcoming birthday in June.
Oh, cool. I should explain. Kiltman is a video channel of a guy from Liverpool. He's a big film fan. Never does live streams. He's a real character, and we both happened to first start to correspond. Me and Halloween Rock when we were watching Kiltman and commenting. That's why.
Yeah,
that.
Heard that.
Let me ask your opinion from you guys. Do you like The Thing from Another? What is it, from another world? The original? Do you like The Thing, the remake?
That's a great question. I'm ready to answer it. Let me tell you my answer. It's a long one, but I'll do my best. The thing is, I always got to do this. Me. I love old movies. I always love them, but I hate over the top, lousy remakes where they go too much CGI and all that. Having said that, I always found The Thing from Another World boring as all hell. That's one of the movies that I think is a movie that's, to me, all talk, too much talk. And the monster, when you get the monster, it's just this bald guy. It's not really that scary to me, right? Now, I love the John Carpenter thing. I just think that's really full of tension and who's who. You don't know who's the creature. It's very, very good, I think. But in recent years, I've gone back over to try The Thing, the original one, The Thing from Another World, and now I appreciate it better.
My short answer: I like the original. I like the remake better.
And I'll even say that with Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's another weird one. But the first version I ever saw was the Donald Sutherland one, and I think that's really creepy and scary, foreboding. I really like that. And then I went back to watch the classic original 50s one, which is what I always loved best. And on that one, I thought it wasn't as strong as the Donald Sutherland one, but it's still good.
Right. That the original the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers was filmed up here in Sierra Madre. So I've been in that little street many times. It's kind of cool to look at the movie and see the actual street.
Is the street changed any, or is it still the same?
It pretty much looks the same. I mean,
Wow,
the buildings are painted and the trees are a little different, but it's pretty much the same thing.
cool.
And it's kind of cool, because I'm a fan of film noir. I like, a lot of those movies are filmed here in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
So you see some of the streets like Bunker Hill, the old Bunker Hill and stuff. The house from Double Indemnity is still there. You can actually, someone did a
wow,
the house is still there.
beautiful.
So I like that stuff, I like old Los Angeles, and
Yeah,
a lot of it's changed. It's not the same, but something like the stairs from the Music Box by Lauren Hardy, those stairs are still there.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by buildings, but the
Right.
stairs are there. And
That's
there's a
cool.
back there. Yeah. So
That's
Tim,
cool.
did you want to say something before about those movies, the thing?
No.
Or I thought you were going to say something.
I like both the originals better, but that's just
Yeah.
me. I think people would expect that.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that happens to me 99% of the time, and that's why sometimes I say like, don't remake this movie. What if it's better? Oh my God, what if modern audiences like it better? And then they watch the original and they say that's so weak compared to the new one. And I don't know why I care. It's up to them, but that usually doesn't happen. Usually, the original, but like it happened with Cape Fear, like a lot of people saw the Robert De Niro Cape Fear, and then they try to watch the original one with Gregory Peck, and to them it's not as powerful as the.
I think that's so much better than the remake.
I like those
yeah,
both.
the original's better.
I like them both about equally. I haven't seen the Scorsese one in a long time, but I think I like them about equally. I still appreciate the first one.
Yeah, Robert Mitchum's great.
Oh yeah, I'm starting to want to watch him in almost anything.
Well, he's in both. He's in both movies.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll say one thing. I've said this before. Nick Nolte, I don't think he fits that role too good. He seems a little too tough and a man's man to be that character. Whereas Gregory Peck is perfect.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. The original is great. Charlie Savalas is in it too, in the original.
Yeah. Entrapment. I never saw Entrapment coughing from that damn oven. Every time she cooks in the oven, I cough a lot. Anyway, I don't know. I did a review on the fly. It took me years I only watched it recently for the first time, and I did like it. I did, but again, that's another one. I liked both of them. I liked the original, and I like the '80s one. Everybody's telling me, and I have it back here, to watch the '88 Blob. But that's really a good remake, and I still haven't. Yeah, John Carpenter's is much more scary, I think. But that's my
The
opinion.
special effects are great.
Yeah, Raymond Chandler.
Oh, here's
Yeah.
a piece of trivia. In Double Indemnity, Raymond Chandler is in the movie for a moment. There's a scene where Walter Neff, Fred McMurray, goes into his office. There's a guy sitting on a bench outside of his office. Raymond Chandler sitting there. That's him.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the blood test scene is like one of the highlights of the movie.
Oh, that is wild.
Yeah, now I know exactly where it's coming, so it doesn't surprise me anymore. But
So have you caught up with the chat, Joe? Have you got down to the lowest comment yet?
No, I try to. That's one thing I try to do. I don't like.
You're pretty good with the chat, actually, better than most hosts.
Yeah, I try to do that because it's very difficult. But obviously, the more people you have, the harder it is because we get into discussion. But that's what I want too. I want the discussions.
Well, being a host is not easy.
No.
No, it is a flair for it. I got to say, because I watch a lot. I've been times where I'm in it. I think I've said this. I've been in a live stream, and you ask a question, and it's like 45 minutes before they even get up to it. People. It's like you got to always be aware that there's people there. There you go. Get it signed by De Niro as well. It's not too late.
That would be great.
Oh, that's impossible. I probably got millions of favorite movie lines, but I can't think of just one.
Get your filthy paws off me, you damn dirty ape.
You're going to need a bigger boat. And also, there's a line also in the thing with that blood test. Everybody knows it's a very tense scene. It's so tense, and everybody's tense, and they have to, in order to test everybody, a couple of guys they got to tie him down. They tie him down. You probably know where I'm going with this if you know the movie. And they tie him up, and because they want to make sure who's the thing, because it takes over. An imposter. It takes a host. It takes over. You don't know who's a real person, who's a fake person. So finally, after all this tension goes on, and they realize with the blood test, they want to find out who's the thing or who's real. One of the guys says, "I know you gentlemen have been through a lot, but when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch."
Yeah.
I know, that is great. That is great.
And that's such a good laugh.
In The Big Sleep, there's a great short line by Bogart, who's asking this doped up girl about some guy that he's pursuing, and her catchphrase throughout is she likes to say, "You're cute." So when he's asking about this other guy, she says, "Is he as cute as you are?" And Bogart says, "Nobody is." Fuck you know, it's almost like you'd expect Steve Martin to say that in Dead Men Don't Wear Play, but it's Bogart saying it in The Big Sleep. Nobody is. That's close to camp.
I must have a favorite romantic comedy, but I just can't think of it. I like Splash. If that's a romantic comedy, I don't know.
Bringing Up Baby.
What?
Bringing Up Baby with Cary Grant.
Bringing Up Baby. Yeah, I've seen that once before. Yeah, I don't remember loving it, but I was almost going to buy the DVD and give it a look. What is it?
Philadelphia Story for me, maybe. I love.
Yeah, I got that one now. I mean, I've never seen it, and I got it in a batch. I remember liking Adam's Rib when I saw that once. That's it. Yeah, I'm not interested in the new Frankenstein movie, honestly. I also liked When Harry Met Sally, I must admit, even though I despise that diner scene that everybody loves so much because it seems so unlikely. I just don't. I know it's funny, but Tim is your Leonard Maltin.
Okay.
Counselor. I'll tell you who's very good in that movie if I remember right, and I keep forgetting her name. The young woman and the girl in there. What's her name again? In the Cape Fear, Scorsese. She's popular. I can't remember who she is.
The actress.
Yeah,
she's in the Oliver Stone movie as well.
Right.
Yeah,
she's in Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, that's the one.
She's very good.
She's in a band. She has a band. What's her name?
I think she's got 3 names in the name, right?
I watched a video a couple weeks ago. This guy's doing like karaoke on the sidewalk, and she walks up and he asks her name, and she tells him he has no idea who she is, and she just belts out this song, and he's like, "Whoa!" And then he realizes he feels stupid after she's gone. He's like, "Oh my god, that was," but I can't think of her name.
Well, there's a very sexual scene in the remake of Cape Fear where De Niro's sticking his fingers in her mouth.
Yeah,
right?
Juliette Lewis.
Wow.
Yes,
that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah,
Juliette Lewis. Yeah.
Where was that one? Because I see that. Let me find it. I know what that is. That's an Oliver Hardy line. Why don't you do something to help me?
That's in every other Laurel and Hardy movie.
Well, here's another nice mess you've gotten me into.
I have nothing to say.
That's another good one. Where's the line?
Haven't you done enough?
Here it is. Halloween Rock says, out of this quote, there's 2 words or that you're putting in here that absolutely get me really excited. And that's Raquel Welch. There you go. So it's too bad she never had a great movie or anything. I don't think she had great movies ever.
I think she was limited as an actress, but she had an amazing body. An amazing body.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right, we're getting near the end. It's already going to be 2 hours, but I'm having fun.
Right. Well, I better get on.
That's,
Let me get on with this then, Joe.
oh, that's right. Well, Pulp Fiction, Goodfellas, classic lines, as they do. Go ahead, 4D.
Okay, so El Dorado, 1960, I think it came out in 1968. Screenplay by Lee Brackett. She'd been a screenwriter for quite a while. Nobody realized until she showed up at an interview that it was actually a woman, because she'd written these hard-boiled novels that became film noir movies. Howard Hawks, who was the director of this movie, liked her a lot. And this wasn't the first time that Lee Brackett had written a screenplay for Howard Hawks. About 10 years before this, the Western Rio Bravo was made by Howard Hawks with John Wayne, screenplay by Lee Brackett, and it's basically this film. This film is actually a remake of that film. So, okay, so bear that in mind and go back to Rio Bravo, and you get this. So this came out in 1959 when the film came out, and it's a novelization. And like I kind of agree with Woody Allen. What he said in Manhattan was that novelization is the most moronic literary genre of the 20th century, because, you know, the plot's there, the dialogue's there, the film's come out, that's the original, and you're just grifting off that with a novelization. But the reason I bought this novelization is because it's by Lee Brackett. So it's by the woman who wrote the screenplay for Rio Bravo. Even though the novel didn't exist before the film, that's what makes it a novelization. The film came first, but she wrote the screenplay as well. So what I was buying it for is to look to see if I could get any clues about things like deleted scenes, things that are in here that are not in the film. And it's a revelation, is this book. One thing you get out of it is the fact that John Wayne is shot in the back in this novelization. He's not shot in the back in Rio Bravo, and there's no big deal. He's sort of patched up and he's all right, and he has, you know, he's still in the showdown. But although he's not shot in the back here, he is shot in the back in El Dorado, to the point where he has to hobble on a crutch in that. So that scene from El Dorado, I think, was put in the shooting script of Rio Bravo 10 years before, and for one reason or another, Howard Hawks didn't like it, so they didn't film that scene. And there's another scene in this book, 1959, where the Ricky Nelson character, who's called Colorado, in the middle of a shoot-'em-up gunfight, he runs right out into the middle of the street when horses are coming towards him, and they jump over him and they carry on running. And then he picks himself up and shoots at the bad guys whose horses have just jumped over him. And I think the Dean Martin character, the deputies, says to him, "What possessed you to do that?" And he says, "A horse will not jump on you. If it can bypass you when it's running, it will not step on a man." Now that's not in Rio Bravo either, but it is in El Dorado. James Caan says that. The James Caan character, instead of the Ricky Nelson character here, says that in so basically what I've discovered is that two of the scenes that are in El Dorado were actually both in this novelization, and therefore I think by implication they were in the shooting script as well. And though Howard Hawks vetoed those scenes, she decided, Lee Brackett, that she liked them enough to put them in here. So I thought that's quite a revelation. If your favorite Western is either of these two Westerns, it's really intriguing to discover, because I've never read of this in any book. I don't know if any researcher has got hold of it, that actually Rio Bravo is the source of at least two key scenes that you actually find in El Dorado. So there you go. That's one novelization. That's one novelization.
4D moment there.
Yeah. Oh, and this is worth guiding people as well. For a long time, the only Blu-ray you could get for Rio Bravo was no better than the than the DVD, and the DVD is not good quality. So
I just got it.
I know. If you were going to get the DVD, Joe, that's the one to get, the 2-disc special
Well,
edition.
hopefully it'll be good for just the first view.
But the key thing I'm suggesting to people is, if you're going to go for the Blu-ray, whatever you do, don't get the other Blu-ray that's not the 4K. This 4K has the 4K disc, and it also has the 1080p Blu-ray disc, but they're both off a restoration process. So this is the one to get in terms of, at long last, we finally got a really good transfer of one of the great American Westerns, and that's the copy to get.
Wow, it took this long. It's something. All the time. I found out, by the way, that another half hour till dinner, so
All right, okay.
have some more time.
Right. Well, I mean, I've only summarized all the things that all the notes I made from that Rio Bravo novelization, because I'm aware that not everybody's a great big fan of Westerns, let alone that particular film.
Right.
But there's so much to get out of that novelization, not because it's particularly well written, but because it tells you where her original shooting script really wanted to go with it. And there's even a little in-joke, which is a poke at Dean Martin in it. So Dean Martin's deputy character in the novelette has a line which says, "I never could sing." This is fucking Dean Martin's character in the film. So that'll be a little in-joke probably between her, Lee Brackett, and Dean Martin.
Dean Martin. Yeah, it's a rom-com, I guess. Yeah. I saw that in the movies and I liked it. I don't own it. I remember liking it enough.
And of course, there's no great singing scene between all the characters in the sheriff's office in the film, because it wouldn't carry well. You have to see it and hear it on the film, so you don't get that. You get the Ricky Nelson character is a singer. And he likes to sing, but there's no wonderful ensemble piece in the sheriff's office where Dean Martin and Ricky Nelson are doing that call and response song. Unfortunately, there's none of that. And some of the great lines, there's a great line in that John Wayne has in Rio Bravo, where the Walter Brennan character and he are talking about the Ricky Nelson character, Colorado, and about how fast a gun he is, or whether he's not as fast as he thinks he is. And so Walter Brennan says, "Is he good? Is he good as he says?" and John Wayne says, "I'd say he's so good, he doesn't feel he has to prove it." And I thought, oh, that's a great line. That's a wonderful line. Now, I don't know why on earth she didn't include that line in here, but instead of that line, let me see if I can find it in my notes. Just bear with me. There you go. What you get instead is a prose narrative that's talking about the Ricky Nelson's character and how he was raised. And it says, "A man that's really good," his father said, "doesn't have all the time to be proving it." I thought, why did she put that in the novelization instead of having the sheriff say, "I'd say he's so good, he doesn't feel he has to prove it"? I thought, wow, that's a bad...
Could you put that into words which even Caesar could understand?
There's the words for Caesar then, if you really want to see the written notes.
I just had that for the fun of it. I was looking like the thing where I could put in a clip.
But so you American guys will be able to get that a damn sight cheaper than the money I had to pay for this, and that's only a beat up copy.
All right, let's get some things in here. Big Sleep, man. I don't know if I'll ever try that again. That was so convoluted. I don't know if I can handle it. Supposed to be besides the point with that movie, I hear. Juliette Lewis, father Jeffrey Lewis. De Niro. I think De Niro speaks in tongues these days, if you ask me. Let's see.
Good job, Tom isn't here.
Look at me. Yeah, well, look at me. I'm wearing a cardboard belt.
Oh
There's
yeah, that's a good line. Yeah.
this is a line you have to be into with Laurel and Hardy. You're better now. You have to know the whole scenario to appreciate that.
Cloris Ritzman in Young Frankenstein. You better put on a tie.
Oh yeah,
and she delivers it like some 30s comedy film.
Raquel Welch was in The Last of Sheila.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the
I saw Fantastic Voyage one time in a movie theater, and I didn't get anything out of it. Not even her.
Surely you had a laugh when she comes back in because she's covered in these, I don't know what they are, but it's like seaweed, and all the rest of the cast are in such a rush to get that seaweed off her body, you know.
Yeah, I bet. But I don't remember that. I don't remember it. And you know, that's a movie that I would have appreciated a long time ago. I'm Old Green. You don't buy me out. I buy you out. This is a good line. But I loved you in The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, with Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own. And also, there's no crying in baseball. That's, of course, that's a freaking classic line. Yeah, there's a little haggy woman, and he says to her, I loved you when The Wizard of Oz. Here you go. Rio Bravo, Rio Lobo, and El Dorado, pretty much all the same film, all starring John Wayne.
Yeah, but and Rio Bravo, in my opinion, is by far the best of the bunch, by far.
Seen some novelizations of silent films from the 20s. That is an old type of publicity for movies. There's a great scene, Rio Bravo, where Walter Brennan breaks up Dean Martin and they leave it in.
Oh, that's another thing I found out. You know, there's a scene in the film where John Wayne refuses to mollycoddle Dean Martin, who's this alcoholic, and Dean Martin says in a jokey kind of way, "That's what I like about you, Chance. You're such an encouraging." And then as he says encouraging, the jail door slams so you don't hear what he's saying. But if you look at his lips, it looks like he might be saying bastard, which they would never have got away with. So obviously the loud clang of the jail door. But so it's in here. You're such an encouraging bastard is in here. So he is saying that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Lauren Bacall is in The Big Sleep. Yeah, I like watching her in those movies. That's why I watched some of them back. That's why I watched probably The Big Sleep and To Have and Have Not and some of those.
And it's Howard Hawks. We've just been talking about Rio Bravo. Well, The Big Sleep is Howard Hawks, and one of his trademarks as an auteur was overlapping dialogue. And even when it wasn't overlapping, it was head-to-head fast. So when you get two people who've got chemistry like Bogart and Bacall, where they can really go at it, Howard Hawks is the perfect director to engineer that.
Oh, yeah. His Girl Friday is I think the best example of overlapping dialogue ever in a movie.
And you mentioned last week, Tim, how fast it was as a comedy as well.
So no, it's just such a good movie.
What's this? A film about John Lennon's final interview? What the heck? How in the world? Is it a film or a documentary? If it's a documentary, that's one thing. Who the hell are you going to make a movie about that? Support your local sheriff.
I'm not sure of it. I mean, in the Montgomery Clift Western with John Wayne, what's that one called? You know the one I mean, Tim?
Yeah, but I can't think of the name.
But Walter Brennan, that is quite a menacing villain, I find. You know, he's not a comic character in that one. Red River
is James Garner.
Red River.
So
yeah, in my opinion, it is. Yeah.
Where are you going there, John?
I'm going to be in the kitchen. I got to heat up some food.
Oh,
sorry about that.
all right. What is this? I don't know.
Oh
that.
yeah, the sort of mannish type woman who could accompany men and go out on hunting and things like that. Hemingway preferred that type of woman as well, apparently.
Mm.
I mean, talking about auteurs and The Thing from Another World, the original one, although it was credited to Christian Nyby, one of the reasons that people say that Howard Hawks, who produced the film, secretly directed it is because you get a lot of overlapping dialogue in The Thing from Another World.
Oh, I hope this isn't the case, because I think that's one of the most overrated movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I agree. It's my favorite Western.
A great film. That'll be the day.
No.
Everybody says that in the movie over and over.
Because it's so dark.
I see two separate questions about which is the best film and which is Wayne's best performance. And if we're talking about performances, then I'd say The Searchers.
Yeah, it's just, and I love how sometimes it just looks like a movie. I love that 50s, sometimes you can tell they're definitely on. I like that about it. I think that's perfect. Right. I'm glad they didn't shoot everything on location. I think that actually helps the film. I think it makes it cooler.
How come I can't hear? You're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. The poster, the El Dorado poster, what's the ratio on that? It's not your full size poster, right?
What, the poster?
The El Dorado.
Oh yeah, that's full size. In the USA, your one sheets are 21 inches by 41 inches.
Okay.
And here ours are 30 inches by 40 inches. So it's 40 inches across. It's just that it's set back, you see. So if I lean back, you can see how far back it is from me. So you don't get a real idea of the size. But it's 30 by 40 inches. Yeah.
Okay. 30 in height by 40.
Yeah. 30 inches up and 40 inches across. Okay. So in America, yours go along 41 inches and 29 inches at the top.
I see. Okay. And you have it framed, right? It's in a frame?
Yeah, I've got a lot of frame posters all around the house, but for usually for the purposes of this show, I'll bring a different poster every week. So it tends to be ones that's been folded up, and I just put it on clasps in the back normally. Nice. This one I took down off the bedroom.
Very nice.
Well, while we were doing the show, Tom sent me a text saying, sorry, I couldn't make it. So there you go. Sometimes he can make it. Most times lately, he's been able to make it.
Oh, is there? I'll have to look out for that.
There you go.
See, so there's an example of a flaw.
I hate that stuff.
But somehow that would make the film more enjoyable for me to notice it. It wouldn't make the film any less gifted in any way. It's like the Omega Man. You can see a guy going for a paper down the road.
Bothers me a lot. Yeah, I wish
that.
And I'm not like I said, I'm not a fan per se of messing around with movies, but I'm telling you that I've seen that movie Omega Man so many times. I know practically every frame. There's so many errors like that in there. And at the beginning, there's many cars that you see. Going back, and they're supposed to be nobody alive.
Yeah, I love it.
Because they had to film those scenes. For those who don't know, on Sunday mornings back then, they're not CGI. They had to film on Sunday mornings when the city was pretty abandoned. Like 7 a.m. or something. 8 a.m.
Somehow it doesn't take me out of the movie. I love noticing that, and
that bothers me. But for me, I'm just speaking for me.
They did really well to make most of the scenes actually nobody but Heston in them. They did, for that time.
Well, I would really, if I could, there's a few things. First of all, you get occasional cars being spotted in the background. You see, there are people, it's hard to see them, but there are people, if you've seen enough as I have, and you've seen videos where people point them out, there are people, pedestrians even walking up and down.
Yes,
I would easily have them digitally removed.
Oh,
and also, let me finish. Also, the traffic lights work. The traffic lights turn red and green.
I didn't notice that.
Okay, take that out of there.
Oh, cracking.
And there's another scene. That's a beautiful scene, but I don't know what the buildings call. It might be a water preservation building that's still there. I don't know. There's a scene where it's a beautiful shot where he has a rough night fighting off the mutants, and then it like fades into a new morning, and the sun's
Yeah.
coming up, and
Yeah.
he's jogging along the
Yeah.
river, and there's some kind of a, I don't know what you call it, a building along the water. It's a beautiful. It's still there. You can see the
Right.
water and his concrete. He's walking along, running along, and jogging,
Yeah.
and there's these black pillars that are in the building. And when the camera pans over, you can see the crew, the camera crew, and all of the pillars standing
can
there.
you?
And
Great.
I'm like, that really sucks. That I didn't notice that one for years until somebody's told
I've not
me.
noticed it.
Take it out, man.
No, I love it. I love it.
You know, and it's like I
Sometimes-
think even in with the War of the Worlds, the '50s one, there were when you see those things, you could see the wires on them flying.
you
They
can, yeah.
digitized the wires out. I think that's wonderful that they did that. Same thing with Lost in Space. They have on the Lost in Space Blu-ray. They have this scene in the first season when one of the early, I think it was from the pilot too, when they take out they take the gravity. There's no gravity. They shut it off on the ship, so the kids are flying around in the air. You see the cables holding them up, but they decided to make an artistic decision to take them out, and I think it's so much better without them. But for posterity, they left it as you could watch it that way, broadcast version. You'll see it if you really want to see the wires.
Right.
Yeah,
well, that's why I like the Star Trek original ones on DVD and Blu-ray, because you get the choice. You can have the upgraded special effects, or you can choose to see it as it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes in movies and TV shows, you see on cars a reflection of lights.
Yeah.
And all the people on the cars.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as the car, moves or it's there, you see everybody standing in the background.
I think in one of the early scenes of Dr. No, you see that, if I'm not mistaken. There's right at the first scene when there's a car that leaves and you see the camera lights.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how many John Wayne films I've seen before Stagecoach, but I've seen Stagecoach a few times, and I think John Wayne was dreadful in that film. I just think he was so ponderous that he needed a director to speed him up a bit. Or maybe he just needed to mature. But by the time you get to Rio Bravo, I think he's marvelous, just marvelous. Like in the Rio Bravo scene where Ricky Nelson and Walter Brennan and Dee Martin are having the sing along, and John Wayne will not be singing along with them because he can't sing, but he doesn't remove himself from the scene in the sense of he doesn't distance himself from what's going on. When you see John Wayne responding to those guys singing, you can see on his face he's really liking it. He's really liking what this camaraderie that's going on. So he does join in his own way, in his character, even though he's not singing along with them. He's really he's responding to them, and I like that sort of. I like that. I like the certain way that John Wayne participates in a scene. It doesn't have to be an action scene. He's present in the scene, so he's
got to convince me yet. He hasn't convinced me, but in anything really. Although maybe the man who shot Liberty Valance, but I'd have to see a lot more. And I got some John Wayne in these bags, so I have to really see a lot more.
I think John Wayne is fine in Stagecoach, but I think that's the movie that made him a star, and I'll never understand why, because to me he's upstaged by Thomas Mitchell. Thomas Mitchell just steals that film for me, and he never became a star. And John Wayne became the star, and I'm like, Thomas Mitchell just steals that film. He's just so good.
I think for me, I like Bond films for the most part. I'm pretty much of a Bond fan, but these two are my least favorite Bond movies. I think these two for me. But if I had to pick one, it's tough to say. I think maybe I go with Live and Let Die by a hair, even though I don't like either one of them really that much. Traffic lights are on. Yes, indeed, Eric. There is a yes. That's a a very good featurette that you can. It's an extra. Yeah, it's very good. Warner Brothers, MGM, Warner Brothers, and stuff. They did a lot of those back in the day. They have
Yeah.
them. They have this. They have one of those for Soylent Green, the making of Soylent Green. Yeah, they used to do that in the 70s, and on the small TV screens today, you'd never see any of those things. Yeah, but they were made for the big screens, so you'd see the big and larger than life, I guess. Yeah, some of that stuff bothers me when you see. I mean, some of it. I don't know of any mistake I can think of where I say, "Oh, I'm great. I like that. I'm glad they did that." I can't think where. You with John Wayne. Oh, The Wire holding up Penny's ponytail on Lost in Space. Favorite Sergio Leone. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say again.
Will Penny's a really good western with Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's one I watch. I don't love westerns, but I did watch that one because he was in it. For a few dollars more, my favorite Sergio Leone film. Watches all of yours. I'm not familiar enough with them. Did he do The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't wild about that either. There's these movies you hear about your whole life. You're like, let me get to it, and it's like, okay.
Mine used to be for a few dollars more of the trilogy, but then it shifted to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Anybody?
I like Sucker. Didn't he do that one?
I think he did. Yeah.
That's my favorite of because it's not really a trilogy. There's really 4 of them. Clint Eastwood just isn't in the 4th one. But
it's James Coburn, isn't it?
Yeah.
James Coburn, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And to me, I just love that movie. That's my favorite, probably, of that genre. Italian westerns. I like Sucker. It's just, I find it funny and amusing and absurd and just great.
Jack Palance, I love him in certain things like Barabbas, the movie Barabbas. He's a good villain in that. I think he was the only thing worthwhile about The Silver Chalice that I saw, but even he sucked. I hated that movie. And Jack Palance. Shane
like
is another
Dracula?
movie, folks, I didn't like.
Do you like his Dracula?
Yeah, I do. It's a little, that's when they really started with the whole romantic thing, really, like they do later in Coppola's Dracula. However, he's still villainous enough, even though in his former life he was a romantic and everything, he still is tainted by the vampirism. So you don't have him being overly heroic and all that stuff. Soylent Green chocolate bars, yeah. Pink Panther Returns, yeah. Did you know how Boris Sagal, who directed The Omega Man and many other things, you know how he died?
How did he die?
He was supposed he had a quick temper, a hot temper, and stuff like that. He's always yelling and stuff. But he was Katie Sagal's father from Married with Children, Boris Sagal. And he was having one of his fits, and he came off a helicopter. He stepped off a helicopter, and he was not paying attention and carrying on, and he walked into a blade.
Whoa!
The rear blade, like the rear, not the top one, one of the blades.
Fuck.
So,
woof.
That's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me feel good. That really does, because I'm losing hope for a lot of people. You don't think it's too much over dramatic acting and too much of that stuff. So good to hear that. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, he did kind of steal every scene he was in, Eli Wallach, didn't he? Look at that! One bastard goes in and 2 bastards come out. He had a few good lines in that. There was something like, if you're going to shoot, don't talk, shoot. After he shot the guy.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't cancel the series after that, because I still think The Spy Who Loved Me might be my personal favorite. Not saying the best Bond movies, but that's the first one I saw. I didn't see a Bond. I didn't even know Sean Connery at the time. And I went into the theater and I saw I saw The Spy Who Loved Me like 5 times with my friends, and I loved it. And then and I didn't know, Roger Moore I thought was funny. He was great. He was this. And then I saw Connery and I said, oh man, Connery is pretty damn good, after that.
Hey, Joe, I apologize. I'm going to exit. I'm going to eat something right here.
Listen, you can't wait to eat like I'm waiting to eat.
It's been a few hours since breakfast.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But John, please.
I apologize. So.
Don't be. Make sure you come up more often anytime you want.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Great seeing you guys.
I'm going to have to go soon anyway because I hear the food's done in there, microwave and stuff.
I had that project that I never did of putting signed photographs plastered all over the hall walls.
Oh,
I was going to do that around about 1990. So I would either do what you used to do, Joe, and if they were coming to Manchester, I'd get them to sign it personally, or I'd send a photograph off, as I did in the case of Roger Moore. And I never rated Roger Moore as James Bond. I just think he was a bad choice. But I used to love him in The Saint, the television series, when I was a boy in the 1960s. And he had this great Volvo car that the Saint used to drive. I had this 10x8 photograph. Roger Moore sat on the bonnet, the front of the Volvo car in the Saint from the 1960s. I send it off to him with an accompanying letter, raving about the Saint, saying how wonderful the Saint was and a really good formative memory. It comes back and he signed it. And he's also included a signed photograph of himself as James Bond. And it's like a rebuke. It's like he's saying, hey, you might want to check out this other guy I used to play as well.
Oh, yeah,
and I wonder whether he was doing that, as in a sarcastic kind of way, because why else would he include that photograph of Bond as well when I never mentioned James Bond?
One of the mysteries of life.
Yeah.
I think I'd better shut this down now because I'm supposed to be eating about now too. And we got 2.5 hours. Oh yeah, well that's the best of. I mean, whenever somebody thinks of Roger Moore, dare I say, I would say Spy Who Loved Me is the best of the Roger Moores. I mean, at least that. I mean, no, nothing else.
Wow, you've been on 2.5 hours. I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's too much. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
But
it's too much for playback and posterity and all that stuff. But anyway, thank you guys, and always appreciated. And everybody that ask all the questions, and there's a lot of movie talk, and boy, I gotta do something. Oh, look what happened to be at the top of my pile over here.
There you go, Tim.
Great. Oh, I have it on laser.
Not the case. Inferior copy probably compared to the Blu-ray, but still.
Well, you did well. You did well to keep up with chat going 2.5 hours then.
Yeah, I'm still on though, So I'm gonna say goodbye now, I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. Thank you all. And don't forget to say today's Monday, Wednesday. Well, I'll be on my Mayo Loves Mondays channel early in the morning, 8 o'clock Eastern, here with Danny to the Danny show, Joe and Danny show. And that's it. So talk soon, folks. Take care.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.